Good of you to join us. This is Marc.
Hey, everybody.
And we are PSI, Piano Scene Investigations. And welcome back for another episode of, well, us.
Marc and Elmer's PSI.
Yes, exactly.
This is going to end up being show number 21.
Yes, this is going to get interesting.
Isn't it exciting? I remember when we started to get this ball rolling at the beginning of the year this year, right?
Yeah.
It's not the first time we've been recording.
Yeah.
Oh, Lordy.
Yeah, that was.
As I said, I don't know if I've ever got on any of these shows, but there are archives, people. Yes. So when we become, when we get lots of followers,
yes, absolutely,
we can offer little surprises. And we'll have people that work for us and stuff.
Yeah.
They can go into my computer and dig out all of these shows that we recorded.
So what the heck is that? Boy, you guys can't even talk.
We had some cool stuff we talked about.
Yeah,
but
we did.
The fact that we weren't able to load it up,
yeah,
means that we can talk about it again. You would know.
Yeah, things that we wouldn't know, but also talk about things we don't know. And back then,
you get money for this, right?
I wish. Okay, if any of you guys are cleaning your pianos. Here's a high gloss piano polish from Corey. Take a good look at it.
Who's Corey? Is it a guy?
I have absolutely no clue who this person is, but I'm just reading it right off the.
Getting a lot of free advertising from us.
Yeah, they are, but it's okay. I mean, I like for people to take care of their instruments.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you like our content, you've enjoyed our company, please give us a thumbs up. Punch that notification bell, subscribe, tell your family, friends, neighbors, and your colleagues about us. If
I don't. We could probably look it up and see the actual number, but
yeah,
I think on YouTube we have 61 followers.
61?
I think so. Or is it 47? And then there's 61 on Facebook or something like that.
Wow,
something like that. But I think probably due to all my ex-students and stuff.
Yeah.
What was it, number 2000? Number 19 show?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It is number 19. It's got like 150 something like
150 views. Now, I don't know that means... Actually, if I look in my computer, it will tell you how many people have actually watched it all the way through or partially or stuff. I have to look it up. Because maybe somebody just oh, there's Dr. Marc. Hi, Dr. Marc. Oh, I can't bear this. I'm no, click.
Oh, God.
But I don't know. But wow. The one before 19, I think it was. What's so special about that?
Oh, I don't know.
Liberace?
It could have been Liberace.
Did we talk about sex or something related to it? No? Wow, it just
was that
what? 119? Yeah. Well, the thing is it went up twice.
Yeah.
And I tried to remove one of them, but then I thought maybe I shouldn't, because the one with 30 views actually has 2 comments.
It does?
Yeah. The one with 119 didn't have any comments, but I'll just leave them both up there. So it's the same, very same show, 002020. But all told, at least it's been opened. Unless you loved it and went and watched it.
No, I've only watched it once so far. Once.
So I don't know how the devil that happened.
Yeah, usually I watch these.
It's almost 150 views of that one. Wow. Now there was one a while back. What do they call those little? little pictures that will show up. Like if you scroll over it,
Yeah.
it'll flash up one of the insert things that I put in the
Yeah.
edit.
Yeah, I don't know what
There's
they're
one
called,
that we
but I know
did.
what
I
they're
think it
talking-
was number 14 or number 12 with Yuja. You know, how she
Yeah,
does this.
yeah.
And she's got those two guys. It was that group
Yeah,
we talked
Gudisman
about.
and Joe.
Yeah. And that's the picture that flashes up when you scroll your mouse across it. That one got a few views. But I'm actually enjoying the editing part.
Oh yeah. Well,
I mean, it takes a while. I know that I've figured it out. We're going to try to keep it a little shorter, and we both know that the problem. You also, if you're following, as you know,
we like to talk.
Well, I get rolling sometimes.
Yeah, well, I do too.
I find my way into things. But anyway, we're going to try to keep it a little more comfortably short. 2.25 would be great if we could get 2:30, but we're going to try not to go beyond that. Because I found that it takes minimally twice as long to edit it.
Yeah, sure.
So it's a 3-hour show. Well, this last one, 20.
Yeah.
There was a total of 8 hours, pretty much, I put in editing. And I did it all in one day.
Wow.
I just got started, and it was kind of rainy day.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I started at like 1. There's probably lunch break and some other stuff, but I finished at 10:30.
Wow.
So, but got it all done. But I'm really excited for myself now because I know how to, like, if we come on and say, oh, I better find a picture of that, and I go in and look at, download it. It goes really fast.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I use Microsoft Clipchamp to edit the videos. I should give them a little credit there and I pay for that. Now you can download a free version, but if you want to have access to the whole thing, I think it costs me $7 a month maybe. So it's $84 a year or something, but it's actually pretty good because recently I figured out how to do like our little sound bites for going to the movie or the little moving figures, all the Giphies and cartoon things.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's a popcorn guy, you know. Popcorn Buck's eating his own popcorn at the movies.
Yeah.
And I can do special effects. Some of those are not available on the free one. So every once in a while, Grogu jumps in his little ship and goes spinning off across the screen.
Wow.
And then Mr. Wagner and the Fern had an altercation.
I saw that.
He's very sensitive. He has I think a slightly compromised immune system. So he sneezed.
Yeah.
And he blamed it on the Fern. And the Fern took offense.
I don't blame him. So, anyway, what's going on? I'm still working on the garden. I didn't get to spend very much time on it this week as I did last week. This is healing much better. In case you forgot, I got whacked by a thistle, a very tall one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, but it's getting better. I finished off one garden bed, and that pretty much took up like 6 lawn bags.
So the thistles you consider weeds, probably pull them out and cut them.
Yeah, we have to.
You know that the flowers,
you
can harvest those. Of course, wash them and stuff.
Yeah.
Especially if you use chemical spray things, but wash them good. Right?
Yeah.
But you can then put the flowers in hot water and make tea.
The thistle
flowers. Tea, milk thistle tea. It's especially good for the liver. Very good for the liver.
Wow.
Yeah. That when you break it open, it has that kind of milky, kind of bluish-like substance in it. Really good for cleaning up the liver.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
wouldn't use the stems themselves, but you can use the flower pods. The flowers, I don't think the flowers will hurt you because you can eat flowers a lot of the time. I'd look it up though to be sure. Don't do. I'm not a doctor. Well, I am a doctor, but not that kind of doctor. I'm not a physician. But the pods themselves that the flowers sit in. That's what they make milk thistle tea from. It's from the flowers.
Wow.
And it's that gluey kind of white juice.
Yeah.
I mean, the various things tend to look like that. You know?
Yeah, of course. Oh God.
Yeah. So, but it's very good for your liver.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. We used to eat nasturtiums, the flowers.
I don't know what that is.
It's a kind of a viney type flower.
Okay.
Really beautiful colors. Reds and yellows and oranges and blues and purples and just crazy. Well, it's a very interesting plant. Nasturtium, Nasturtium. I planted it when I used to live in Yellow Springs. I had a big garden, and I planted it at the kind of opening area of our backyard and a couple other places. Like I always put marigolds as a border around my tomatoes.
Yeah.
Because the tomato board and stuff, they don't like the smell from the marigolds. Yeah. Well, the nasturtiums are very interesting because they're very beautiful. They grow as a vine, so I tied some string up to the front fence. Okay. And then just let them go to town.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're so beautiful and just flourishing. Well, they attract aphids. The juice in their veins drives aphids crazy. It's like catnip for aphids.
Okay.
So then the aphids don't attack your other vegetables.
Really?
Because the smell from the nasturtium is strong enough. They just all go. So if you look underneath the leaves and the flowers, just turn it over and look a little bit. It's full of bugs. Just crawling like a whole monster colony. It's like New York City in there of aphids. Cool thing is, they drink the juice. Yeah. It doesn't hurt the nasturtium.
Really?
They chomp in there into the vein and suck it up. Oh. Nasturtium's more than happy. They make more of it. It's a really, what do you call it when the two things get along together? So where the aphids would destroy other plants, you know, get in your house plants or in your garden stuff,
exactly.
And they'll kill them. Yeah. Because they're basically like little vampires. Yeah. They'll chew the juice out of things.
So basically the aphids are like the vampires and the nasturtiums are like their familiar or something.
And they're fine with it. Wow. It doesn't hurt them. Then the cool thing is you just take the flowers only. I've never tried anything else. But you take some of the flowers, of course, wash them off, make sure you don't got any aphids on it and stuff, and throw them in a salad. They're very peppery. It's like a black peppery kind of taste to it.
So have you done these things before?
Oh, yeah. I was a big-time gardener and green thumb guy.
The thistle milk thing and all that?
Yeah. My ex-wife, Robin, she was... She became really quite a gifted herbalist, self-trained, really. Okay. She bought books. Jethro, what's his name's... garden, very famous book written in the 20s. Yeah. Big book. And then some other ones that we had. Robin was actually famous in Boulder when I was doing my doctorate there. Yeah. She came up with this recipe, adapted a couple different ones and put this tea together, made with slippery elm bark and some other things. But it had like 14 different things in it. Licorice and some stuff. That gave it the taste. But if you get a scratchy or sore throat, slippery elm is one of the best things you can have because it's a mucilaginous kind of thing and it helps to coat the throat wonderfully and keep it from the reason that it hurts when you get a sore throat is because there's no mucus on the skin and the skin is actually nakedly exposed to air and then that hurts it. So this helps to like put a fake kind of mucilaginous covering on it. And then there's other things that she had in it. I forget what all it was. Mullein, which is actually good for breathing and stuff. But it was basically a cold and sore throat tea. Mm-hmm. It really worked. Wow. Really worked. And it was her own recipe because she put different things together. She had the entire opera department at Boulder in her back pocket. Wow. She never charged money for it. But so they could say, can we have a jar of your tea? So she'd take a mason jar and throw it all in there. It's just a thing. We kept the voice department healthy and until we left anyway. Wow. But amazing. She was into that, and then shut up. I know where to go. I was into gardening, and a lot of this is due to the influence of my maternal grandparents, but my paternal grandfather as well. He was a huge organic gardener. Both my grandparents, but especially my paternal grandfather and both my grandma and grandpa, my mom's parents. And I spent a lot of time living with them when I was younger, especially in the summer when we were out of school. They had converted their, especially the whole backyard behind the garage and everything, in the side yards and stuff. Everything was full of plant life. I mean, everything. And Grandma and Grandpa didn't go. They never went to see a doctor until almost the first time they saw doctors was shortly before they died in their 80s, mid to later 80s. Grandma used to say when she'd gone to see one, she had some issues. She asked Mom about it, and she took care of it. She said, the last time I saw a doctor, Rhoda, was when I had you in 1940. She had Mom in 1940, and she went to see a doctor in 1971. It had been 31 years since she'd gone to see a doctor.
Wow.
And Grandpa forget it. He had this tonic he took. It was half apple cider vinegar and half honey. Kept it in a bottle, and when he got up in the morning, take a big tablespoon, but a serving spoon.
Yeah.
And he'd shake this up, and he'd put, and he took that, and it's actually a rather famous tonic. It's very good for the liver, good for cleaning things out. It increases the blood flow. Yeah. Because it warms you up.
Yeah, yeah.
I found that my internal physical condition, I can't tolerate it. Which I think means that my liver's strong enough and my blood moves plenty fast. But because I don't have high blood pressure or anything like that, my blood's pretty good. But anyway, I loved it because Grandma would come out and she'd be clipping things here and there. She'd give Grandpa's cookie. Marley, come over here, give me some of that, this and that. She's like an old house witch, She'd go in the kitchen and she'd be making some different things. So that's a problem. And I learned, one of the best. When I was a pianist, we had our own home.
He was a pianist.
In Boulder. Actually, it was a double-wide mobile home, but we owned it. We bought it. And it was brand new. It was beautiful. We're at the foot of the Rocky Mountains, looking up over the northern mesa, looking down on the whole Boulder Valley and the Flatheads. It was wonderful. It was $36,000 plus the monthly rent for the space and stuff. Big 3-bedroom, vaulted ceilings and everything. Had grand piano. Concert grand Kimball from 1922.
Kimball made a concert grand?
Yeah, these were some great pianos too. Mine was one of 6 left in the whole world.
Wow.
And then I had an 1845 Viennese piano, and I had Norman's forte piano. I had 3 different instruments in the living room, plus a sofa and a couple of sitting chairs and paintings up on the walls. It was a lovely house. But anyway, I want to landscape the property and everything like that. But and I forgot why I'd gone in that direction. But I did want to say about Grandma and Grandpa that, I know, between Robin making her own medicaments, I know what it was. Because I landscaped our property, I put up trees, rose bushes. I moved an iris bed and then stationed it so it was a terraced bed with these wonderful Siberian irises. And the 3rd level was high enough that it was taller than me when they came out in bloom.
Really?
Because they're usually 3-foot stalks.
Yeah.
And it was 2 feet or more above the backyard level. So
this is a Siberian iris?
Siberian iris. Rich blue. Yeah. Huh. Beautiful flowers. They were there. Yeah. But then I just kind of moved them about. I planted 150 daylilies and planted those around over by the front porch and places. Wow. I had mint that I put in. I had vegetables in the back. Wow. All kinds of beautiful things. But I love to work outdoors with my hands and stuff and tools and things. I don't use power tools very much. Drills, okay. Yeah. No electric saws. Yeah. Things like that. But I didn't like wearing gloves a lot when I was working with the plants. Yeah. You can't feel the stuff, right? Unless it's got needles in it, like nettles or something like that, or roses. You got to be a little careful. Yeah. But most of the time, I use my bare hands, and you cut something, you get a little cut or something. Yeah. Comfrey root. It's like a stick. It's kind of hard, and you take a little bit of it and grind it up in more pestle, make your powder of it, and then take true vitamin E oil. Now, not the commercial crap that like they might sell you to put in face mixture kind of things, unless it's very high quality, but then that's too expensive to buy usually. No, you just take vitamin E capsules that you would ordinarily take.
Yeah.
I would spring one of them open and put the vitamin E on the wound, and then sprinkle the comfrey root on top of that, and then wrap it. The next morning, I'd take the bandage off, and there would be new pink skin over the wound, already healing.
Wow.
Comfrey root used to be called knit bone in the Middle Ages. After the warriors fought each other, the women would come out and they'd take these huge fronds of the comfrey root plant and lay it on top of the wounds and stuff.
Wow.
I learned that from my grandmother. And then between me and Robin, we actually had some Native American friends out west. We learned some things, picked some stuff up. Part of what was in her wonderful tea was a couple of ingredients that she'd picked up from, I think they were Ojibwe Indians.
Huh.
Wow. I think they were Ojibwe. They're actually famous for some herbal remedies. But, so anyway, weeds. A weed is, I learned, because I just love gardening. I got it from my grandparents and stuff. We live in a condo here, so can't do nothing about it. We got beautiful little plants and things. And our Laura's doing great with a basil plant.
Oh, yeah?
We got from Trader Joe's. I've been eating this delicious basil. Picking off of it, it is dense as a jungle.
Oh, wow.
Just filling in like crazy.
Not bad.
By the way, we were talking about that. We'll put in a little plug for things.
Okay, cool.
I won't put down the other places, but we will speak up for little Miss Fernie there. She's from Trader Joe's.
Oh.
My experience with Boston Ferns is they can be touchy little boogers.
Okay.
And I've rarely been able to keep one like really happy.
Yeah.
And she's got babies all over the place shooting
really?
Everything. And the what you call it, basil that we bought is also from Trader Joe's.
Wow.
I think Trader Joe's is a really great place.
Oh yeah.
There's something good about the energy. I mean, it's not a really huge store, but my God, you can live off of everything that they sell in there.
I mean, it's sure you
totally a big store. And the weird thing is, I used to have a lot of plants when I was in my teens. I had like 35 houseplants in my bedroom. And with my upright piano, we had the grand downstairs, but upright piano, 35 houseplants, including some babies, Norfolk Island pine, ficus rubber tree, and other things. I slept so well in that room. I think it was because of all the oxygen.
Oh my God.
They were putting out.
35 plants in your room.
But it was amazing because back in the day, there was so many choices. You could go to greenhouse garden centers or even Walmart or Target kind of places. And they had wonderful plant selections. And they were cheap.
Huh.
You could get little baby starter ones, little 3-inch pots for 50 cents or less than $1.
Yeah.
And, never put out a lot. I remember the most I probably ever paid for a big one. Maybe the Norfolk Island pine cost me $12 back in those days. But nowadays, she came pretty good price. But it's hard to find a real great variety of houseplants anymore.
Hmm.
And they're so expensive. I don't know where you get them. Or how you find them. Look stuff up on Amazon.
Yeah.
There's some great companies that, provide you with stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to pay $25, $35, $45, $55, $75, depending on how big the plant is. One plant.
Wow.
That's kind of crazy. So, see, how much time have I already eaten now?
That's 23 minutes.
Okay.
So I see you have some stuff here.
I can do my shared thing real quick.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me talk.
You're welcome.
I just enjoy this time to be able to share stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean we do this once a week.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised most of the rest of the time. You're really kind and seem to enjoy my talking, my company.
Oh, absolutely.
You'd be surprised a lot of people aren't. Or it's like people don't have time. You
That's
know,
too bad.
and people just, and I end up listening to other people who are more important. Talk about shit. Well, you know, I've always paid lip service to this lady.
Yeah.
Because of her historic fame.
Yeah.
But I can't say that I've really ever known her playing that well or listened that much as I have just recently.
Yeah.
I was in the mood for some Bach, played well and interestingly. And I have this 10 CD collection.
Oh my.
You can show it to them. It's Rosalyn Turek.
Absolutely.
It's got a whole bunch
Oh
of stuff in there.
gosh.
We don't have to go through it, but it's got the whole well-tempered, you know.
Yeah,
Books
she
1 and
does.
2. She's got some other pieces in there. I listened to a couple of the partitas. She's got some. What's that one on the Lost Brother, the Capriccio and stuff like that.
Capriccio.
Oh, and the Italian Concerto was interesting.
Yeah, sure it is.
You know, I tried looking her up.
Yeah.
Like her Wikipedia article.
Uh-huh.
There's not a lot there. And I know that she maybe mentioned some other books. I forget she studied at Juilliard.
She did.
Ultimately with some famous-ish pianist.
Yeah, some lady.
I forget who it was. But she started out in Chicago. She's from Chicago. And she had some good... Already, when she was in Chicago, she was already interested in early music stuff. She studied with a harpsichordist there before she ended up going to Juilliard. And then she took a job when she was 27 years old teaching at Manus. 27.
Wow.
And the interesting thing about her career is she was consistently employed teaching at some big places the rest of her life. And she still had a performing career. And then the interesting thing is that probably due to that teacher in Chicago, she started playing, she played the piano all the way through. She's actually had played other composers like David Diamond in New York. Inscribed or composed his first piano sonata for her. She was that good, apparently. So, I mean, in other things.
Yeah.
And she's actually read the thing about her in the little article that she did play other stuff. But she started out kind of being influenced by Wanda Landowska a bit, playing the harpsichord, but I don't know. It didn't quite work right for her, but she went back to the piano. Just what I wanted to say is the moment she started to play, she plays, I think, the C minor partita. It starts out.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Well, what I found interesting about her playing, by the way, Glenn Gould, in an interview, said that my only influence was Rosalyn Turek.
Really?
Yeah. He credited her Bach playing and work and stuff with being a great influence on him. Well, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
Maybe I was going to use the word kind of aggressive in a way. You know, we have a tendency sometimes, don't we? I mean, when I approach Bach, there's a certain...
A little bit.
Sink your teeth into this stuff like
Yeah.
that. We used to have dachshunds.
Yeah.
And, you know, dachshunds are... The word, actually, a dachshund is a badger dog. They were bred, the wiener part of them, to crawl down into badger holes and grab the badgers by the neck and break their necks.
Really?
Yeah.
A dachshund could do that?
Yeah, they got a bite on them, you know, and they just like this. And that's their nature. We had a bunch of them. Between my mom and my sisters, over time, 5 or 6 of them, I think.
Holy moly.
A lot of dachshunds. And they're interesting dogs. They were okay with the family, but they do tend to migrate towards one person in particular.
Okay, and that was?
Mom. And then Katie had one, Amber, who was kind of her doggy. And Susan had another one, I can't think of it, Roscoe. But they were okay with all of them.
Yeah.
But they could be a little snippy and a little personality weird. But the funny thing was, Mom always wore these slippers, you know, slip-on slippers.
Yeah.
And it's probably because it smelled like Mom, you know.
Okay.
But some of our dogs, they would get them, and they just go, and they go whap, 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 whap. Both sides of it would whap them on the sides of the face. But that movement they were doing was what they do to kill the
Badgers.
The Badgers.
Wow.
How the hell did I get talking about that?
I don't know. You were talking about Rosalyn Turek.
There's probably a connection there that led me to say that.
Rotation?
Well, anyway, I know what it was. We were talking about the kind of aggressive way that we launch.
Oh, yeah.
Bach.
The Bach, yeah.
Sometimes there's also probably, Glenn Gould was that 1955 recording. Goldberg is still one of the most famous and influential classical recordings ever made.
Yeah.
And I know that it influenced my teacher, who then, I had a way of playing Bach and approaching it that was very Glenn Gouldish,
No, fast. Oh, yeah, it's
really fast stuff and hyper articulation and this kind of stuff.
No, did you listen to this later recording?
Yeah, I know he changed a lot.
Yeah.
He changed a lot in the 80s. There's a whole different kind of idea.
Yeah.
But when she started to play, I was immediately struck by the gentleness of the play. And I've said this before, I think it made it in one of these shows. I really love Wanda Landowska's play. You know? And I know she had that crazy 9-foot concert grand style harpsichord and all that. But maybe it's even that 19th century. Man, she could bring the voices out.
Oh, yeah.
You can hear, when she plays a 4-voice fugue or a 5-voice fugue, you can hear every damn voice.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you can.
It's really impressive. And she also, because of the nature of the instrument, the kind of working like thunderous nature, she can take her time a little bit, playing things out. Well, and maybe more or less why she also went to the piano, because there's a bit more of the lingering tone and everything.
Oh, yeah.
This is beautiful playing that I heard from her. Slower than what I would ordinarily be accustomed to, even like what you expect, when a student plays one of the suites or the partitas in college or something.
Yeah. Typically the jig.
And like one of the really cool things is, and I see some of this here in this book I want to show. The trills aren't, like a woodpecker.
Yeah, or like a
No,
phone.
they're in fact, what she writes about, they're mathematically relevant to the overall tempo and the nature of the dance or the gesture or something that's going on. So she was talking about, a couple things that we lost over time that, well, we keep having trills, but she said, but then, everybody plays it just as fast as you can play them.
Yeah.
Because it's an effect from the 19th century on anyway.
Yeah.
And then appoggiaturas became grace notes.
Yeah.
But there's a D, and depending, some of them are D or D, depending on what notes they're modifying, as an order.
Yeah.
What I noticed was that her ornaments, there's a real variety of the way that she plays them in terms of the number of notes, depending on what you think. If she gets to a fast like a jig, she can play it fast. Very fast, very clean, very lovely. It's not that she can't play any the way she wanted. She studied with some famous people. She's a Juilliard person from the great days of Juilliard. So she was trained well. But I don't have too much more to say than you should look into Rosalyn Turek, really. I had always known her as, like a very important Bach person. But to be honest, until recently, I'd never listened that much. And definitely with appreciative ears like I have. She has a beautiful tone. Beautiful tone. And the clarity of the voices is all there. The appreciation for the innate nature of the dance, whatever one it might happen to be. But we talked about this before, I think, on one of our shows that we did up. How Bach is one of those composers who could be enormously flexible.
Oh, yeah.
His music, you could do so much with it. But anyway, I like that. Now this is a book we're going to show.
Okay.
I only have book one, and I can't even find the other ones. I found a service where you can rent it like online to read it.
Yeah.
It's a digital copy.
Uh-huh.
You can't print it out though. And I don't know where you would even find it, but this is Oxford University Press. She started out, and it was apparently a 3-book series. And she gets more into, this is the first book, which talks about more basic principles. And she has little pieces of Bach in there,
Yeah.
where she shows 18th century fingering, what it means, what a phrase is, not just in terms of the melody, but in terms of rhythm, tempo, and structure. And she edits in these little pieces and makes these suggestions so that you could learn from her knowledge what she believed was good Bach practice. She has a piece, the very first one in there is a prelude in C major, not the one that we usually think of, but for Wilhelm Friedemann. And it goes up the scale 3 4 3 4 3 4 3 4, like that, instead of with the thumb, because Bach did use the thumb, but characteristically back in his day, they didn't play with their thumbs.
No.
When they said number one was the index finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the thumb was a plus sign. It's only when you have too many notes and you need to use it. And she's making some interesting suggestions, because she said, you learn how to go over and go under with the fingers. I find that I've innately started to do that when I'm playing the organ at church. I play the organ differently now that I've been doing it for a while than I do the piano, in terms of my fingering and things like that. Because so long as you hold the key down, you've got a note that's singing.
Yeah.
And you have to find a way to hold on to it while you do something weird with your fingers, which ordinarily I wouldn't do at the piano. But it's interesting. I don't know. Good luck to you guys. Actually, somebody does have volume 3 on eBay, of course, in the United Kingdom.
Oh, boy.
All you wonderful hobbyists, British hobbyists. They have volume 3 for $19, but then it's $14 shipping. $33 for... sorry.
Yeah.
Did you show it to them?
I did show it to them.
So it's got some interesting suggestions about stuff, and that's my little thing. I think I can see why. And you know what's interesting? There's not a lot that I could find online densely written about her. There are recordings of her performances and things she did. And some live video recordings of old stuff. But she also seemed to be extremely devoted to her teaching. Because she taught at some good places. She was in Interlaken. She was at Manhattan.
Wow.
I think she was out west somewhere as well. I thought she was also with Juilliard at some point. But
she probably was.
And she continued to play until, I think she was recording or doing something until about 3 years before she died. She lived a long time. She died in 2003.
Wow.
I think she was like 90 years old or something like that. Wow. But when she was 86 or 87, that was when she was doing some of the last concert time.
That's a good long time.
Some interesting people have made a living off of Bach.
Oh, yeah. Well, they still are now that they have that Bach competition.
Yeah.
The international competition. I have to find out when the next one is. Because, let's see, the last time I heard the Bach competition, the last winner I know about is that Simone Dinnerstein.
Somebody who I like.
Yeah.
The guy's name I can't remember. He owns the French church, studied with Brendel.
Kid Armstrong?
Yes, Kid Armstrong. I'd love to hear him play early music on the piano.
Wow.
He plays on the piano. Wow, somebody else who played some lovely stuff, but it was English version music, was Yun Chen. Yeah.
The John Dowland.
The John Dowland, yeah. It's nice to, and especially with somebody who plays so beautifully, to hear that music played. Like with her, it was really ear opening.
Yeah.
Really to hear it. It's not like there's an attitude that I was raised with, and I think there's a certain style of playing Bach, which is very rhetorical.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you get out there and take the stage and make your thing. You know, and there's a certain kind of masculinity in a way to it. And honestly, I think it's perfectly fine when it's done like that. It'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
Her playing is just not that way.
No, it's not. I have some of her recordings. I have her complete toccatas at home somewhere.
Ooh.
Complete toccatas, and it's actually on the recorded under Phillips in that Great Pianist of the 20th Century series.
Yeah.
So she's in that. But I also have somewhere, I think it's Deutsche Grammophon, a Deutsche Grammophon recording of her doing the Goldberg variations. And it's interesting because you could put the, if you have a place in your computer to slip the thing in, it pops open the score on the screen.
Oh, cool.
And the notes light up as she plays and even has her fingering in it.
Oh, wow. I saw that recording.
You did?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. You can buy it. It said something, I wondered about what that was, and I read a little bit, and it said something like it's a CD-ROM thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was quite interesting. My stepson was into Bach when he was back in school, and he saw the recording on upon my collection. He asked me, "Wow, can I play this?" He says, "That piece is too hard for you." He says, "No, I want to play the CD on my computer." He said, "Yeah, sure."
That's
He
cool.
stuck it in his computer, and
you didn't know that it did that.
I didn't know it did that. I was totally computer idiot. But anyways, yeah, I mean, the thing said ROM, and I was like, I don't know what the hell that is. So that's what it did. And he was like, "This is cool. You should come." He says, "You should come over here and see this." I was like, "What?" He says, and I'm looking at the computer screen. It's like, "Oh my gosh, this is pretty cool."
Yeah.
So
That's interesting educational thing.
Yeah.
I had the impression the woman. Well, I know. You remember this show years ago.
Yeah.
There was a British actor named Brian somebody.
Okay.
This was back in the 70s on public TV.
All right.
You would have had access to it. It was a big film. Hour and a half. I don't know. It was 2 hours long. It was all about Bach. Celebrating Bach.
Oh, wow.
Could have been as
And you know the first...
1985.
Okay. The guy's name was Brian?
Brian was his name. He actually plays Bach in the show sometimes to be dramatic in some places.
Wow. I
But
don't know.
there's really cool things like there's voice choir scene. There's even a black steel drum band.
Oh, yeah?
Playing Bach.
Oh, wow.
And they had recordings of the Swingle Singers, or they were actually on it, I'm not sure. They're just showing how much his music has been taken up by various people and done. But Rosalyn Turek is in that.
Oh, wow.
She's covered briefly in it. And I think about that. I've got some old albums of Wanda Landowska. And when she came over to the United States, they set her up in New Haven, Connecticut, and got her harpsichord, got her set up. Ralph famously stepped aside and let her release her Gould variations. She talks on some of these recordings in between, or she used to do what we would consider, what do you call that? Lecture recitals.
Lecture recitals?
Kind of, something like that. Or Jeffrey, what's-his-face, used to do what he called keyboard conversations. New York Jewish pianist fellow. I got to meet him a few times.
Cool.
I called mine Clavier Klatsch. Because everything else had been taken, but instead of Café Klatsch. Because a Café Klatsch is when you come together and over coffee and just kind of jabber and talk and things like that.
Well, what's Klatsch? What does that translate to?
It's not a single word, but a Klatsch, Klatsch, It could be partially a Yiddish word too. I'm
Okay.
not sure, but it may have connections like that. A klatsch is when you have a gathering, people meet together at the coffee house just to visit and talk.
Okay.
Stuff that they have coffee. It's at a coffee house, and you just meet and talk and about the subjects of the day and stuff like that.
Wow.
But I call mine klavier klatsch when I used to do that.
Wow.
I'd still do those again. At some
Yeah,
point,
that sounds
if I
like
could.
fun. So, anyways,
I like to talk.
yeah, he does. So I'll sneak in a few words here. So I brought in, well, once again, I talked about this a while back when we were talking about George Gershwin a while back.
Yeah.
So I finally found it. In the archives. This is the world premiere recording. The pianist is Norman Krieger.
Oh, I know Norman
Remember
Krieger.
Norman Krieger?
I did.
Yeah, he
know
makes an
Norman Krieger.
appearance. He makes an appearance on tone-based piano every once in a while. And this is recorded under the Stradivari Classic label. This is his all Gershwin CD, and included in it is the transcription by Grace Castaneda
Oh, there you
of the
go.
Concerto in F.
Remember, guys, when he was showing that music, that's that
Yeah.
doctoral lady
Yeah,
who knew Ira Gershwin as well. Got some permission to do some things.
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, she did this solo version
Okay,
of the.
don't get her mixed up with Alicia Zizzo. Alicia Zizzo.
I am mixing them up.
Yeah, because Castaneda was one of Gershwin's
You're right.
contemporaries.
That's right. You're right.
So-
My apologies.
Okay.
That's the one that I have.
That's the one you have in that
That's
big
the one I have.
Gershwin book.
But what you brought in was that other
Was the other-
Caesar lady.
Yeah, I brought in that, but I also have that one in red. But this is interesting because
Yeah.
when are you going to hear Concerto in F as
Yeah.
a solo piano work? Well, here it is. This is the only one I know that actually exists of the actual solo version. So yeah, I'll show it to him. He was a handsome guy.
I know him too. I met him actually.
There he is.
Can't remember where.
Norman Krieger, all Gershwin. This CD recording is dedicated to his brother.
Huh.
So on it, he also does a solo version of Rhapsody in Blue and the 3 preludes. So yeah, it says here, in parentheses, Rhapsody in Blue, based on the original. So it might have some extra stuff in it. Okay, so Norman Krieger. Now this next, I'm sorry.
Why don't you move Anton up a little further?
Okay,
Because it won't hurt, because it'll be better in the picture.
okay,
This is at the bottom of the screen.
okay.
So this
Gotcha.
would be up past the.
Gotcha. All right, now I have another CD recording. This is a historic CD recording.
Uh-oh.
You'll like this one. Okay, she is a legend. She used to teach at Juilliard. And
Adele
she's.
Marcus?
I'm sorry?
Adele Marcus.
No, this is not Adele Marcus.
Rosina Levine.
No, it's not Rosina Levine. This is somebody that from time to time she gets her name mentioned. This is under the Opal recording.
Oh, I remember Opal recordings.
And this
Remember
is
that Charles guy I told you about that had the CD store in Madison?
yeah,
And I put a picture up at one time on one of our shows.
he did.
He would call his friend up, who seemed to be like the genie and knew all the answers to everything. I remember Opal recordings when they were up. They were good.
They were very.
They were like some of the early historic things.
Yeah, I mean they were almost like, well, what Marston is today.
Yeah.
Really, they were
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
This is a recording of Olga Samaroff.
Oh, wow!
Yes, Olga Samaroff. If some of you youngins don't know who Olga Samaroff is, she was from Texas.
Yeah.
Despite
she
the Russian
was.
name.
Yeah.
Now there's a story behind the name.
Yeah.
You have to understand the time. This is an old recording.
She got around.
Yeah, she did.
She was
get
married,
around a
what,
lot.
3 times? A famous guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, she was a famous pianist. She eventually taught at Juilliard, but you have to understand during the early 1900s, the piano was a very popular instrument. Lots of households had them, and pianists would come from Europe. Rachmaninoff, Paderewski, Joseph Levine, Rachmaninoff. Who else am I missing? I mean, this oodles of Europeans pianists came here to America, and they would build this career. Well, it made it harder for Americans to, be taken seriously because, Russian pianists had created this rather. There was an enigma. I mean, they were, there was just something about them.
They could play the shit out of the piano.
Okay, all right. Basically, yeah, they could. They knew how to shred.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, Olga is from Texas, and they didn't take her seriously. So she figured, well, if she studied in Europe, and came back as sort of a European pianist, maybe they'll build her career. Well, she did that.
Yeah.
Okay, and there was a few concert managers that took notice. And they felt that, well, I'll tell you what, we could build that career, but your name, her full name back then was Olga Hickenlooper.
Hickenlooper.
And so, yeah, I know. So she decided with the managers that they give her a Russian name.
Yeah.
Which was how she came up with
Olga
Samaroff. Olga Samaroff. She was
Yeah.
very much every bit a Texan, but she's now Olga Samaroff.
Thinking
The career took off.
Think of that state and the people that come out. I mean, come on, Van Cliburn
Yeah.
taught the Ruskies a thing or two when he went the very first Tchaikovsky
Yeah.
international competition.
Yeah.
Was won by a Texan.
Yeah.
They produced some big, larger than life people out of there.
Oh, yeah.
So who was she? Wasn't she one of Leschetinsky's wives?
She was.
She was married to Theodore Leschetinsky for a while.
Oh, but look at this. Friend of Mahler and Richard Strauss. Wife of Stokowski.
Oh, yeah.
Leopold Stokowski.
So maybe it wasn't Leschetinsky.
Yes. Admired artist and inspiring teacher, her pupils include Anya Avis,
Yeah.
Hungerford. Remember Hungerford?
Yes, Bruce Hunter.
William Capell. Raymond
that's
Leventhal.
Wow.
Wait a minute. What the heck is this? Alright, this has to be a typo. Okay, because it says here, under her pupils include Anya Avis, Hungerford, Capell, Leventhal, List. That's a typo.
No.
No.
She probably took lessons with me. What's her years?
What's her years? I don't know.
I'll look it up.
Look it up. Okay. So it also includes here Vincent Prisicchetti,
Ooh.
Shippers. Oh, speak of the devil. Rosalyn Turek. She took lessons with
Samaroff. That's maybe the one I was thinking of.
Yeah. Alexis Weisenberg was also a student. So, anyways, look at this. Look at this program. So we have here the Beethoven. I'm going to assume the Beethoven is also Beethoven / Rubinstein, Anton, because it's the first track is the Ruins of Athens Turkish March. There's some Chopin in here. Chopin's Nocturne in E flat, Ballade A flat, Sonata in B minor. Oh, the finale only. Now this one's interesting.
Okay.
The Mendelssohn / Cady, Cady, and it's I guess it's some kind of arrangement or edition of Songs Without Words. Don't know which one that is. She also does the Aufschwung by Schumann, Intermezzo E flat, Opus 117. Now, some interest here. She does the Wagner / Hutchison, the Arthur Hutchison arrangement of the Ride of the Valkyries.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. Let's see. There's this composer here, Paul Juon, Juon. I don't know how to say that. Naiads at the Spring. Naiads. Naiads.
Naiads, yeah.
Naiads, okay.
Mm-hmm.
She also did some arranging here. She has her own arrangement of Bach's Little Organ Fugue in G minor.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's also the Second Cathedral. Here is a recording of Lacona's Malagueña. And here's Griffiths' The White Peacock. Charlotte Griffiths.
Wow. I love that word.
Yeah.
Okay, can I tell you a couple things?
Sure. Tell me.
All right. Her whole name was made up.
What do you mean?
Olga was not her first name.
Olga was not her first name? Oh my God.
She was born in San Antonio, which is a really great town. That's the home of the Alamo.
Alamo, okay, yeah.
Her name was Lucy Mary Agnes Hickenlooper. That was her name. It's very interesting. She was the...
Say that again, Lucy?
Lucy Mary Agnes Hickenlooper.
Oh my.
Born in San Antonio, grew up in Galveston. She's the first American woman to win entrance to the piano class at the Paris Conservatory.
Wow.
Her years, by the way, was 1880 to 1948. She only lived to be 68 years old, but what a life in that time. Because then she went to Berlin. She got married briefly to a Russian engineer. Her family lost their entire business in 1900 in the famous hurricane that wiped out Galveston.
Whoa.
Basically turned it into part of the Caribbean. And what was really cool, listen to this girl. The family lost all their money. So part of the reason she did reasonably well early in her life, from 1880 to 1900, was because of Texas money.
Yeah.
But they lost all of it. So on her own, when she was 25 years old, she self-produced a concert at Carnegie Hall in New York.
Wow.
She hired the hall, the orchestra, Walter Damrosch as the
No
conductor,
way!
and she performed the Schumann and the Tchaikovsky piano concertos.
Oh my.
And thereafter, she had a big American career that took off, and then she went to Europe, again, professionally, to play there. She met Leopold Stokowski when he was an organist at St. Bartholomew's Church in New York City.
Oh my.
And then he was a conductor for a while, Cincinnati Symphony. She played the Tchaikovsky with him. They got married in 1911. And then at the time, they say, she was much more famous than her husband. He hadn't really become Leopold yet.
Wow.
And it was through her contacts that she managed to persuade Philadelphia to take him on in 1912 into an empty conductor's position.
Wow.
Thus launching the career of Leopold
Stokowski. Wow.
She was the one that did that. Here's another good one.
All right.
Hans von Bülow was the very first pianist ever to play all Beethoven 32 sonatas in public.
Hans von Bülow.
Hans von Bülow was the first one to do it. Then we all know that Arthur Schnabel did it eventually.
Yeah.
In the 20s, right?
Yeah.
However, in between Hans von Bülow and Schnabel, the second person to play all 32 Beethoven sonatas in public was Olga Samaroff.
Oh, jeez!
I didn't know it. This girl, I'm impressed.
I am impressed
And then
too.
she said after that, after Schnabel, no, at the same time, Walter Gieseking did it at the age of 15 in Germany.
Oh, jeez.
Played all of them. So it was actually Hans von Bülow that about the same time in the world, Walter Gieseking in Germany and Olga Samaroff all over the place, played all the sonatas.
Then Schnabel.
And then it wasn't until the late 20s that Schnabel actually did. And of course, he's the first one to record them.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
But quite a life this lady had.
Those are some really fun facts.
Whoa.
What?
She taught at the Philadelphia Conservatory, and then she joined the Juilliard School the same time as the Levines back in 24.
Oh, wow. So she was one of the original faculty
She was one of
members.
the original ones. She was the first American-born teacher on the piano faculty.
Wow.
Next to all the Ruskies that they hired.
Yeah.
Yeah, she lived out her life in New York. Boy, the woman had an amazing life, and she did so much on her own. I don't know how long she stayed married. She and Leopold didn't make it forever.
No.
She had a heart attack, died at her home in New York on the evening of May 17th, 1948, after having given several lessons that day.
Oh.
She gave a whole bunch of piano lessons, and then she went home, she died.
Oh.
That's the way I want to go. I like the way Frederick, what's his name, did, Arthur Riverside's Brand.
Yeah.
Was conducting the overture to Meistersinger with the
Yeah.
orchestra.
Yeah.
Had a massive coronary, and that was it. He went in.
Oh, jeez.
That's a way to go, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, here you go. Look at this.
Yeah. Did you show it to him?
I did show it to them. I think. I'll show it to
Pearl
them.
Records. Yeah, Pearl and Opal.
Yeah.
Wow. Where did you find that?
I don't remember. I probably found it in one of our bottom of the barrel places at some thrift store. I tell you, there's a thrift store open in Marion, and it was well hidden. You wouldn't know.
Marion, Ohio? You mean up there at
Marion,
23?
Ohio. Yeah, up at 23.
Where the Honda plant is?
Not where the Honda plant is,
Isn't
but
that
if
where
you get
that's
up,
Mary? No,
you're
what's
talking
it?
Marysville.
Marysville.
I'm talking
So where's
Marion.
Marion?
Marion, Ohio. You go north on 23, past Delaware, just keep going north on 23. You eventually will hit it. It's about 45 minutes from here.
And they've got a.
Well, they
What?
used to. They used to. You get off on the Marion Mount Gilead exit,
I know
and
that.
it was
I know what
hidden
you're talking
behind the
about.
trees. There's like a furniture store on the service road, but you got to go take the drive behind the furniture store, and there was the thrift store. Most people would not know how to get there unless you were just, well, like Kathy and I, we get lost, and we actually found it. That's how we found it. We got lost. So, and we just remembered how wonderful it was, and it was horrible on my allergies.
Is this the place where you had these monster boxes?
There was these monster
Dumped them out, they were
barrels.
full of
They were
dust.
monster barrels.
This is that
They were like
place.
this.
Yeah.
The monster barrels. And I actually had to, and when I wanted to look, you couldn't just dump your head into things. So I just emptied the thing on the floor, and the people over there heard all this commotion. And they said, "Are you going to put all that back?" And I said, "Yes, I promise I'll put it back," which I did. One CD, several, CDs at a time. And I just went leafing through hundreds, literally hundreds of CDs in those barrels to find this, and maybe, I don't know.
There was a VHS cassette that you found one time.
Yes, it was there, the same place.
Yeah,
And
that's
those-
where he told
on
that
those
story.
stinking barrels as well. Those things. And like I said, but
So they didn't really know what they had. It
they
wasn't
had no clue what they had. Absolutely no clue what they had. I found some really neat scores there too. Which
Was
I'm
it
about to.
you or was it me? I know I've got some stuff that ended up in my hands with some people.
Yeah.
Was it you that was talking about? I don't remember the story, but maybe together we remember. Something about Pataskala. And there was some really cool recordings that came out of somebody's library
Oh,
that we ended up. I think it's me.
I think it might have been you.
I think it's me. I've got some. No, it wouldn't be you because you're not into it as much. Some opera recordings that I don't remember how I got them, but very
Probably
clearly
you.
it's from the same person because there's a few of them.
Yeah.
And they're written. They wrote on the booklet kind of thing, but they're all from this person who was from Pataskala, which is east of here, out on 161 away, outside of Gould. Yeah.
Olga
You know, it
Samaroff.
used to be. Let's say this.
Yeah.
Before the advent of rock and roll,
Okay.
it was pretty much jazz, country, and classical.
Jazz country. Yeah, and hillbilly rock and things
No,
like
no
that.
rock. I said before rock.
Oh, before rock.
So
Okay.
before the 50s, because Bill Haley and the Comets was the first official band.
Mhm.
There were black people
Yeah.
that were doing it beforehand, but back in those days, they didn't have the representation either on the radio or really with the record makers.
Do you know the first people to use the term rock and roll? The very first time it was ever used, the term rock and roll was ever used. It was used by the Andrews Sisters.
Really?
They actually had a song that said rock and roll on it.
Yeah.
They were the first ones.
Well, I was thinking
I thought that
that,
was interesting.
before, so this is, let's say, before the Second World War.
Yeah.
Rock didn't exist yet. It was big band stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That was the big thing during the Second World War.
Yeah.
With the Andrews Sisters and the ladies with their
Oh, yeah.
hair and all that. From that generation, and then there was these college-educated people where, honestly, you know, some of the teachers I had, there was a voice teacher, Lois Fisher, who had a bachelor's degrees in piano and voice from Oberlin. She was teaching on the University of Wisconsin faculty in Madison for years. She was really good. She really played the piano too. She'd warm her kids up and do stuff with them and stuff. I'd come in the second half hour to play there a couple minutes with them.
Yeah.
She was a remarkable lady. I never really got to hear her sing, but people said she had a nice mezzo-ish voice, you know, and so forth. But the thing is that at one time, like Dr. Wynn, my not first piano teacher, but my first big-time piano teacher. He was at the time the chair of Wittenberg School of Music.
Before you continue, do not try to look for that thrift store. It's no longer there.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure.
Well, what I was going to say about this was, it was unusual. Dr. Wynn was one of the very first recipients of a DMA in the United States. He went to school at USC, University of Southern California, studied with Albie Tserico, who was Arthur Schnabel's first American teaching assistant, and he got a DMA. Europe doesn't offer doctorates. I don't think they still don't do that because they have a different system, more conservatory.
Yeah, sure is.
They have artist diplomas, maybe something like that, but that's an American thing.
Yeah, true.
It's important in the academic world, actually, for determining certain things. But no, the point is a lot of teachers, men especially, ladies less so, but you know, there were plenty of them that went to get a bachelor's degree. But you got a bachelor's degree from a university in America in the earlier 20th century, and that was something. I mean, like in my day and age now, I've always been proud of the fact that I put the flesh to the bone, and I got myself a doctorate.
Yeah.
It's a relatively small number of human beings, small percentage of human beings that do that. There's only a certain percentage of us that go that far.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it was a similar thing back in those days, when you think that 75% of America was agricultural. For somebody to go to school and get a bachelor's degree, 4 years, they knew a lot and contributed a lot, you know. Scientists maybe would get a master's in some, there were doctorates in some places where you could go. But a lot of it was more on-the-job discovery and training and things like that. But the cool thing is there was less, well, nobody had smartphones. There was, you know, television, I mean, goes all the way back to the 30s in New York, but really didn't hit the United States until after the Second World War, really. I mean, people were still listening to radio going into the Second World War, most of America. So you didn't have all these distractions and things, you know.
Yeah.
I've got 2,000 or 3,000 books in here, you know, my Kindle library, you know, for example. It's 2,000 maybe. But these people assembled for their own enjoyment.
Yeah.
Their collections, you know. And then eventually, you know, people had records. You find stuff, 78s and things, but when the LPs were finally made, that was a good time for people to start to create their libraries and have things. Well, Springfield was a pretty cool town where I grew up. Wittenberg was there. It had historically always been an important town, particularly for business, and it was more than once, at least 3 different times, considered for becoming the capital of the state of Ohio. It's really quite an interesting town historically. When I was growing up there, I couldn't wait to get out and go see and do things, but I learned to appreciate what I had growing up there and what it was, historically what it was, and the people that were there that taught me and did things. It was a really good little place to be. Because the other thing was, is that these people, these well-educated people that were teaching the schools or the universities, colleges, they die, and then their libraries.
Yeah.
I mean, their relatives didn't want them, so they'd end up in these bookstores or
Yeah.
different places. And I think it's called Bookhaven
Okay. Wow.
in Springfield.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if they're still there, if they shut down. I think that they were bought out by a place here in Columbus, if I remember,
Uh-huh.
and she moved what was left of the collection up here to Columbus.
Oh.
But there was a great old bookstore. It was really cool. You go in
Road trip.
into the one kind of big space. It was over near Snyder Park, and
Yeah.
then I loved it because you go into this kind of old big. It was high. It was almost like 2 stories high.
Yeah.
20 feet ceilings in that space,
Yeah.
and the shelves went all the way up there.
Yeah.
Really dense there. And then over where the checkout was, and there was a little space back, and they could sit, do things and stuff. There were stairs that went down from that level.
Yeah, to the lower level.
And it was like going into the catacombs in Rome.
Oh,
Those
jeez,
stairs.
or France.
It was more or less one space, but
Yeah.
then there were like some rooms that broke off here and there.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the hell the building would have been originally. I mean, you could, like there's what's the famous place? The Book Loft here in
Yeah, the book
Columbus.
loft. Yeah.
If you're not used to it like we would be,
Yeah.
you can get disoriented in the Book Loft.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
you can't find your way out. It's like a maze.
It is like a.
And they actually,
It is.
after a certain period of time, they've actually gone from one street to the other one, and they connected all the buildings in between. So there's like 32 rooms.
Yeah.
And it is a maze. But they got smart. Eventually, they have these little places around the store where they printed out maps, or it's kind of like you are here, like at a big airport
Yeah.
or something like that. And these are the rooms and the sections and stuff, and they show you. I'm sure the law required it, where the closest exit and fire escape would be. Because I remember when I first went over there, I loved it because I get lost. I couldn't. I don't. And I would turn and I'd go into another room, and it was not
Or-
the way out. It was, and then that room would open into 2 other rooms.
Exactly.
Well, this basement thing was kind of like
Kinda
that
like
in Springfield. I could show you plenty of stuff that came from there.
Bookhaven.
Yeah, it's got their name written in it, what they were charging for it and stuff. But, and then once in a while there'd be an estate sale, and Professor Wynn was the first one when I was like 15 or 16 years old.
Yeah.
I had some money for my paper route and stuff, and I was very fiscally good with things, and I was interested in stuff. He took me to this guy that had been on the Board of Education at Springfield. He died. And he himself was an amateur musician. He loved music and stuff. Professor Wynn had already gone. Professor Wynn was the kind of guy that would fly to New York and put in bids for stuff at Christie's and then come back home. I mean, he was a serious collector. But he took me along that one time, and I remember I had found a book on world puppetry. It was really cool. Coffee table book. I still got it. It was the first time I ever learned about Wayang Kulit, which is the shadow puppets that the Indonesians and Balinesians use. And I bought some music books and stuff there. I found some wonderful things. And then on top of that, our Springfield Public Library downtown had wonderful collections, wonderful things available. I don't know, I got bit by the bug.
Oh, it's easily to get bit by the bug.
I just can't help
Absolutely.
myself.
Very easy.
I mean, a lot of this stuff, now there's a cumulatively, there's a lot of money on these shelves.
Oh yeah, I know what you
Let's
mean.
put it this way, money I spent, I do know I have some things that's worth something too.
Oh, I know you probably do.
But
Oh, I do.
when I actually purchased a lot of this stuff, rarely, most of it is not new. There are some museum books that I bought when I was places.
Yeah.
When I was a professor, I had some money to get certain things. Some of the music here and there. My auntie Stella Nova gave me some money, and I bought a pile of volumes of all kinds of things from Dover. Got really develop a music, a
Yeah.
good music library collection of things. Most of this stuff I didn't pay that much for it.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
But
Things-
today,
everything's gotten a little pricier now.
oh yeah,
It's like it used to be cool when you went to bookstores, record stores, and stuff like that. Like, especially if you went to a place where there had been something of a sophisticated culture
Yeah.
from, let's say, the 1890s through the 1920s, especially.
yeah.
It was a good time for America.
Oh yeah.
We did well. And then again in the 50s, after the war. The First and Second World Wars helped us out a lot
Oh, yeah.
financially. Our economies bloomed. And there was that, people got killed and stuff, so there was always a push to educate people, and everything kind of, sprouted up,
Yeah.
And then we got the residuals.
Yeah,
from that,
sort of,
in terms
yeah.
of the things that these people had collected and so forth.
Yeah.
Be around, and it was really very affordable. It used to be.
But it's like you said.
It was like a sport. It was just like fun. You want to go to the bookstore? And I'm not talking Walden's or Dalton's
Yeah.
at the mall,
Yeah.
which had its place.
Yeah.
But no, you go to Bookhaven
Yeah.
and go and you spend $10 and come home with 5 or 6 books,
Yeah.
or recordings or something. You
Yeah.
get a little bit more money. You spend $15 or $20, and you come up with 2 grocery bags full of
Yeah.
stuff,
Exactly. Yeah. If you're looking for something valuable, it's definitely places like that. Or
And I think they're
stores.
still around.
Yeah, there's a few of them.
Now, I think because of the internet. Because people can look things up and they can look at the value of stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I often see stuff that's available either through Amazon, and Amazon is something like 60% individual sellers that are actually putting that stuff up. They're either the same people or they're also very comparably priced on eBay.
Yeah.
People know what they can get for certain things, and they can better understand what they have and what the market will bear for it. And I think it's become, antiquities. No, I don't mean like ancient art objects,
Right.
but
Yeah,
no, antiquariate is the word
Yeah.
I used to use. Antiquariate, so it was old books and recordings and things like that.
Yeah.
That used to be like, like both of us remember, just a little dusty.
Yeah.
You want to blow your nose when you get out of there.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Sneeze a few times.
Yeah. Kathy and I.
But
Yeah.
it's not quite the same thing now.
No.
It's a little bit. Half price books is still a fun place to go.
Yeah, it's still a fun place.
But I always just go straight to the $2 section.
That's what I do.
That's the
too.
first thing I do. Because then, depending on wherever else you're in the store, ooh,
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate because we were born in a certain kind of time where we got, I think, spoiled. We got used to the low prices.
Yeah, we did.
And nowadays it's just like, are you shit?
Okay.
It was like, no, a couple, I'll shut up. It was like
That's
a couple. Felix and Oscar end up with a car in New York City in the 70s. And I remember John Byner's in the episode. And he's got a spot that he can rent to them in a parking garage for $350 a month. This is in the early 70s in New York.
Whoa.
And Oscar goes, $350 a month? He said, I could get a 1-bedroom apartment with a bath for that for this car.
I leave it to Oscar.
Yeah, things have changed. But
Okay, so we can do the featured composer. We could do PSI at the cinema, or we could do.
what do you want to do? I know I've been talking. It's my
Okay.
fault.
Let's
I'll
go.
bear,
All right.
I'll bear the weight.
I'll tell you what. I want to say the featured composer for last.
Okay.
Because out of respect. So let's start with.
Oh, no, so we're going to have to do it. So what are you doing first?
Okay, I think. All right, let's do the interesting one here. Let's do the all pieces considered.
Okay, let's say that really loud and then wait for 5 seconds.
All right. Now, time for all pieces considered.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Say it.
All right. Welcome to All pieces considered. And unlike last time, I only brought just one piece today.
Oh,
Just one piece, but it's a very interesting piece. You will like this piece.
ah.
Okay, it is Wagner.
No way!
Yes, it is Wagner.
Is it Richard Wagner?
It is Richard Wagner.
Really?
Okay,
Wow.
but with something a little extra special.
This
to it.
little guy here?
Yes.
Not so. Actually, he was kind of short.
Yeah.
This little guy. Hooray! Finally, you're going to talk
Yes,
about me.
We're going to talk about Richard Wagner. All right. This piece is called an album leaf. Can you tell me what album leaf is in German? What is
Actually, they use the word Albumblatt.
album
Blatt. A blatt is not, well, in that sense, it's more like the page of something rather than a leaf. But actually, when we say leaf, we mean like a portfolio.
Portfolio,
leaf or
yes.
something like
Leafing
that.
through.
We use the word in English, leaf can either refer to the things that comes off trees,
Yeah.
or it's a page of paper from a collection of things in like, what's the word when they call those things the Shakespeare plays, where you had a huge piece of paper and you could cut it into 4 pages.
Oh, boy.
I forget what the folio. It's a folio.
Okay, yeah.
And a portfolio, port comes from the Latin porte, portere,
Yeah.
which means to carry. So it means a sheaf or a collection of pages that you can carry with you, a portfolio.
Huh.
But it represents your creative work.
Interesting.
That's a portfolio. Can
Okay.
I have your portfolio? Can I see your portfolio? Which is basically like a physical representation of your creative work.
Cool.
So, an album leaf is kind of a jotted down and a little more briskly and more easily kind of idea of something that the composer had. The Beethoven's is famously
For Elise.
Lisa, whoever she was.
Yeah.
He wrote this little song, which sadly has become probably the most well-known Beethoven. Like when he's at his job,
Yeah.
you think he gets asked to play, do you know the first movement of the Pathetique Sonata?
Yeah.
Can you
No.
play anything from the Hammerklavier?
I don't get asked that.
Can you play that beautiful melody from the second movement of the fourth concerto? No, what are they asking for?
They asked me for
Elise.
Moonlight Sonata.
Da 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 da.
Yeah. For some reason yeah. For Elise or Moonlight Sonata.
So this guy's got one.
So this is Richard Wagner.
Ooh.
Okay, this is Richard Wagner,
right.
an album leaf. Now let me read to you what it says in here, okay? An album leaf in its original form was one of Wagner's rare attempts to write for the piano, an instrument which he held little interest for him.
It shows.
Yes. Hence, the sketchy piano treatment he gave his own soaring melodies is parlor style at best. Now, this present version of this album leaf, undertaken at the insistence of Bertha Coletti, does justice, it is hoped, to one of Wagner's great moments. Its performance demands an orchestral conception and a continual intensity of expression. The 2 climaxes seem impossible at first sight, but if the molto sostenuto is observed, they yield rather easily. The pedal should be used liberally throughout. Okay, now, mind you, this is album leaf by Richard Wagner, and the original score is in C major, and it's much thinly textured. This is a concert transcription of the same work by Reginald Godden, Godden, and from what I found out from the background research, he is a Canadian.
Oh, that's why it says Canadian stuff.
He is a Canadian, and
Oh,
instead of C major, he transposed it
D-flat.
up a half step to D flat major, and it's very effective. I feel it's in this key.
Yeah.
And he's added a few things, it feels more improvisatory, and yes, he's, like he said, it needs more of an orchestral conception when interpreting this work.
Hey, you should look at this. You could learn something from this guy.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, this is.
He's probably cursing you in German.
Yeah, well, who knows what he's saying right now, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
This is this guy's conception of it, because I know have you played any of his piano music?
I have played
This
some.
is sonata.
Yeah, it's
okay.
a little bit.
This boy's genius was meant for orchestra.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Honestly, well, this looks like it might work.
Yes, let me show it to
I
you.
mean, his originally conceived stuff for piano leaves a lot to be desired. If anything, because I think there's something about the color and the timbral nature of his instrumentation when he writes for things.
Yeah.
And when he writes for strings, he uses techniques for the instrument that are, what strings can do. Juggy, 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 or just constant drills in order to create a color. It's almost like the string sometimes, that's not the only way to use it, but like, I think when an artist is first applying the paint, the background especially on the canvas, and then you have this multi-layer kind of thing where the strings definitely in different ways are playing. They can come to the foreground and do certain things, but because of the nature of the way those instruments can play, then somebody like Liszt tries to reproduce that. I say it doesn't try, effectively does that on the piano, but that's what makes it so damn difficult to play. Because, okay, we need to be fair to the guy.
Yeah.
He really did conceive of things on a huge scale, a grand scale.
Absolutely.
Master of color and instrumentation, all this kind of stuff. I think he borrowed some ideas from Liszt, but he was a far better orchestrator.
Oh yeah.
And then it took somebody like Liszt who could do things on the piano that nobody could do, but that really does speak to the singular genius of this guy.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah, the conception's huge. I mean, to even try to transcribe his work for solo piano, that's an almost impossibility. So what Liszt did was he created a miracle at the piano over and over and over again.
Another person would speak up for him because he's a friend and colleague of mine in Germany.
Yeah.
He's from Schwandorf in northern Bavarian area. He's from a musical family. His name was Stefan Mikisch.
Yes.
Mikisch.
Oh,
he was brilliant.
We need to sell that guy. Look up the guy's name.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Stefan. Stefan, and then Mikisch, Mikisch, He, for a long time, kind of took over the role in Bayreuth of a fellow before him who had kind of developed these lecture presentations from the piano for the people going to the concert that night. And it became quite a regular thing. And then it was like that with Stefan. He actually started doing one of his own, and then he kind of took over the whole scene, and then there was a bit of a schism in town, and then he was doing one of his own. Somebody else kind of took over the official one with the festival. There's some recordings on YouTube.
Yes.
There are some things available that you can purchase of his. There's also compositions, and I have one. I have a Goethe Demo signed to me. His recreations, I mean, he had the ability to play like Liszt.
Oh, of course he did. Yeah.
But Liszt almost in a way recomposes things necessary. I mean, he had pretty decent pianos in his lifetime, but the modern 20th century pianos are a little bit different than what you have now. But What is very clear with Stefan's playing and with his composition, he had consummate, highly detailed understanding of what was in the score.
Yeah, he did.
And an ear for it, like a conductor.
Oh, of course.
Conducting the whole massive ensemble.
It's much more complicated.
There's an amazing performance on YouTube, I hope it's still up on YouTube, of a 45-minute presentation. It's actually, I think, the thing is that he would have worked it out, and he would have done these things before. But to a certain extent, what this guy was doing sometimes was improvising.
Yeah.
He knew the music that well, and he was really extraordinary genius. He was a genius. And with it went sometimes a difficult person, very strongly opinionated sometimes about things, but I loved him, and we were really quite cordial as colleagues, I thought. But I mean, I'm a really good pianist and have been, and did some great things and affected people. I probably because of my own stuff and my family. I always have a slight, maybe it's a good thing. It doesn't go to my head, really, for me. I don't have a high poofy opinion myself. So I'm sometimes surprised when people have thought I was as good as I apparently am and said things and stuff. Howard wanted to send me to Juilliard for my doctorate. I elected not to do that, but he told me, he says, I have never recommended anybody go to my alma mater for a doctorate, but he said you could do it. Probably should have done it. I didn't though. But I regarded Stefan, as the guy up there above me. We were about the same age, I think, but sadly, he ended his own life back in the COVID times. And I know what some of the reasons may have been for it. But anyway, there's that concert performance that he gave in Italy. It was on Italian and then put on Italian television, I think. It's basically Parsifal from the beginning to the end for 45 minutes. Now, considering that the opera itself is a lot longer than that, but it encapsulates all of the great moments and the way that it unfolds. And what amazed me too, it's constant playing with extraordinary focus and extraordinary perfection for 45 minutes, unbroken. It starts, and then by the time you get done, it's like the experience I've always had of Wagner, like when I'm in that house. I've been fortunate, I've been there many times. You almost feel, you don't, because you would have died by then, but you almost feel like it's so magical and you're in the presence of something so unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're holding your breath. And then finally when it's all over, you suddenly become aware of the world around you again, and I need to breathe, And then the great thing is when you go outside and you get the fresh air, and sometimes, depending on if it was a matinee performance, started during the day, and it's in Northern Europe, the sun might still be out. And then of course, they take breaks in the middle of the operas, and sometimes Parsifal starts in the dark. They actually have legally the right to turn off the exit lights and everything. It is pitch black in there when the strings just start that prelude and do it. And then that whole act is an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20. Depends on who's conducting it. I saw Pierre Boulez conduct it famously in more recent years. And I actually helped the woman Michelle DeYoung, prepare the role of Kundry for that performance. They did it at Carnegie Hall and then also in Bayreuth. I got to see her there at Bayreuth. But they have these breaks, for everybody, because the musicians are down there in the pit sweating themselves to death.
Yeah.
But you get to come out into the fresh air and the flowers and blue sky and everything. It's so lovely. It's like being born.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Like your mom's womb,
Yeah.
you know, and then finally you come out into the world. Especially when the whole show is done, the whole opera's done. It's one of the most transfiguratively, and I've experienced more than once.
Yeah.
Mahler symphonies can be that way too.
Oh, I'm sure you can. Number 5.
Yeah. Well, I performed in the chamber part of the festival. Every year there's a Mahler festival in Boulder. They've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And they just cycle through the symphonies, one a year. And they start over and keep moving it just over and over and over again. And then I played some of the song recital, some song Kindertotenlieder and the other one, I can't think right now what it is, but and then I did Schoenberg cabaret songs, those were definitely as well. Similar stuff, did some Zelensky, that kind of period,
Yeah.
late Vienna stuff. Like that Wolf, I did different things.
Wow.
But the symphonies, I remember the 8th Symphony. They did it in the Boulder, I forget what it's called, but this massive, beautiful, huge proscenium, big stage. Hundreds of people in the chorus, and the orchestra itself is 180 people or something. And there's even a separate part of the orchestra. The soloists.
Now, when are they slated to do that one again?
I don't know.
Wow.
But I remember, and this is a massive theater. It's also where I saw the little Spanish lady
Alicia?
play the Knights in the Garden of Spain
Oh,
at the
God.
symphony. They're lucky. They have this cavernous, beautiful space. I mean, really, it's last time I was in one similar to it was in Pittsburgh. It's like you're sitting in your chair here, and I happen to be near the end. There was like 3 or 4 people off that side. And then a row of chairs that goes way over that way to the other side. And that's only the half of the floor. And then there's another one like that.
Wow.
Gargantuan space. And it was full, almost packed. And that symphony goes on an hour and 45 minutes or a couple hours, something like that. I was so overwhelmed. I mean, just it's 5 movements, you know, and Pat Mason, who was one of the baritone professors, the voice faculty, was way down there. Everybody else eventually, after the thing was over, just gotten up and left eventually. And then there was lots of applause and cheering and shit. It took forever. Must have been almost another 45 minutes before people really got out of the place. I couldn't move. I was sitting there and I was so just the beauty of the experience devastated me in a beautiful way. I was just, I didn't want to be born. I didn't want to go back into the world after the experience. I wanted to go with the souls up to heaven. I wanted to be there with them in that beautiful music. And Pat Mason was down there. He was in the same place. He was crying. I cried and cried. We both looked over at each other and kind of laughed. And our tears. He came down my way to exit. We didn't even talk. We just looked at each other and embraced and cried and laughed a little bit. He didn't say a word. It's like he couldn't talk. It wasn't. Yeah, I sometimes I don't talk. There's moments where the transfigurative experience is that fabulous. And this boy, I have to thank for some of the most amazing experiences I've ever had in my life. Amazing. And Mahler's capable of it too. So,
Well,
good for you.
yeah. What do you think?
Have you tried to play it?
I have tried to play it.
And?
It's hard. It's so hard.
It looks.
I mean, just the balance. I mean, the counterpoint itself. I mean, he's got these. I mean, the real devastation here doesn't happen until you get to about the 4th page here, where the right hand and the left hand. So the left hand's doing this.
Yeah.
Da 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 da, and this hand's going da 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 in chords.
And this is one of those But no, it's from the music.
From the music?
Page
Okay.
there where the,
All
is
right.
it like where it's got 3 parts or
It
something?
starts out innocent enough, okay? Take a look at that. Innocent, right? No, not so innocent until you turn the stinking page.
And then even farther.
Then it gets
This is where sometimes when you see some Rachmaninoff things.
there. Yeah, see?
A third system to write.
Yeah, look at that.
Music you're playing.
It's crazy. And it's in D flat. Yes.
I love D
Now,
flat, though.
yeah, I do. I like D flat too. Now, Reginald Goddard, I'm not sure, but I think he's still alive.
Good for him.
He has some YouTube videos. You don't get to see him, but he recorded the Piano Sonata #1 by this Harry Summer. It's a 3-movement work, and it sounds difficult. But this guy, Reginald Goddard, he must be a hell of a pianist to be able to handle something like that. And this concert transcription is really done well. I don't know if IMSLP will have this. You can check to see if they have it.
Okay.
There are no videos of any performances of this work right here. There is one video, but it's the original C major version of this work. And somebody apparently made an orchestral arrangement of this. I saw there's a video of a high school orchestra performing the orchestral version of this, but we don't know who the arranger is. It's well done. But here it is. Album leaf. Wonderful. What you looking at?
Oh, he's dead.
Who?
Reginald Goddard.
He's gone?
Pianist, teacher. Born in Tunbridge Wells, England, 1905.
Oh.
Died in Burlington, Ontario, in 1987.
Oh. Did not know
Yeah,
that.
and must have achieved some stuff because he had an honorary Doctor of Letters from 1985, 2 years before he died. Wow, his family immigrated to Canada 1 year after he was born.
What year was he born?
1905.
1905.
Oh, cool. He played silent movies. He was one of the silent movie pianists.
Wow. And he died in 1987.
Yeah. Moved to Toronto for organ lessons in his 20s.
Born in England.
Yeah, but he's fundamentally Canadian raised and
Yeah.
educated. Oh. Okay.
What?
Some important stuff here. He gave the Canadian premieres of Prokofiev's 7th Piano Sonata,
Whoa.
44,
No wonder
and
it's so
the
good.
3rd Piano Concerto in 1945, as well as additional Canadian premieres of Shostakovich and Copland.
Wow.
And then it mentions some Canadian composers we wouldn't really know. But
Wow, that's a lot.
this guy had. This is the kind of person that you should look the guys up. Look up his biography. It's Reginald Godden, Goddard, Canadian pianist. One of those guys on the dark underbelly of that iceberg.
Yeah.
Who had a great successful life. He was honored with a Doctorate of Letters 2 years before he died. A big deal. And from York. I don't know if that was York, England or York, Canada, but nonetheless, they're both come from these places. But that's what we do.
Yeah.
Tickle in the underbelly of that iceberg.
Yes.
See what comes out.
So, this work, if I were to take this, work and really learn it, I would put it on the second half of my program.
Cool.
It's a good work.
Cool.
It's an excellent work.
Yeah.
Yes, remember from last time, I don't remember what I brought in. Was Lucas Foss last time.
Yeah, that was good.
And I thought,
And that Kashow guy's.
Kasha Howard.
I looked him up. I saw he was very prolific pedagogy
Oh, yeah.
publisher. Or his stuff was published.
Oh, yeah.
His piano series of things.
So piano course, 1, 2,
Yeah,
3.
yeah. And then he obviously wrote the concerto. But he was really successful.
Oh yeah.
Was it back in the 40s probably?
That's what I'm guessing. Yeah.
And then he wrote a concerto, with his success and stuff. But it was clearly written by him, who was a famous pedagogue, and the concerto is clearly a pedagogic
Yeah.
piece. Yeah.
Okay, so which brings us to PSI at the movies.
Okay. So say that again. Hey, we're going to the movies!
We're going to the movies!
PSI
PSI at the
You can
movies.
talk a little bit quietly.
Okay.
Cool, here we are.
And so, we're here at the movies, and what did I bring today? Some of you will remember this, the youngins will not know this. I brought in Gary Oldman's Immortal Beloved.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Excellent movie.
Oh,
Okay, anyways, this movie came out in, let's see, I saw the year in here, 1994. 1994, starring Gary Oldman. And to tell you the truth, they could not have casted a better actor to do Beethoven, really.
Gary Oldman's incredible in a lot of
I
stuff.
know, he is.
A while back, I think it was this year, I don't think it was all the way back to Halloween, but Laura and I watched his Dracula thing.
Dracula, Bram
right?
Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, wow.
So there you go.
Oh, he is vicious. I mean, he's so famous. His character, that with the makeup and all that.
Yeah. The glasses.
He gets reproduced in The Simpsons.
Yes, I know that
And they
episode.
got the guy with the hair and the fingernails and all that kind of shit.
Yep.
That's the Gary Oldman.
That's Gary Oldman,
of Dracula. Yeah.
And this copy came with a special edition.
Ooh.
It came with this.
Oh, looky there!
Look
Very
at this.
cool.
Let me show you. Here, let me show
Look at
you. Here, let me show you.
You never opened it.
This is a VHS copy of Immortal Beloved.
Yeah.
Okay, now when it first came out on the shelves at the stores, this thing came with this inside of it. Look at that. Immortal Beloved.
Is it a reproduction of the
It is a
letter?
reproduction of the letter. And I never opened it.
Oh.
I've never opened
you're
it. Should I open it now?
If you want to do that.
I don't know.
Have you ever watched the movie?
I have watched the movie many times.
I leave that entirely up to your decision. I mean,
Okay.
that might make it a little more valuable if it's not open.
Okay.
You could
Yeah,
always
it hasn't
sell
been
it.
opened. Well, look, it hasn't been opened.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, it's practically an all-star cast. Wonderful music, wonderful performances, not just by the actors, but the musicians as well.
So, you guys know the Immortal... Well, let's put it this way. Nobody's sure who the Immortal Beloved was.
Yeah.
Nobody's 100% certain.
Yeah, we have our theories.
But do you know what it means? Okay? After Beethoven died, in his writing desk, it's really cool. They have he had lots of them, like I do too. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
But famously, not as many as do now because they're so cheap to make.
Yeah.
But his reading glasses and stuff are there on the desk. And there was a compartment in the desk. They opened it up, and there was a letter in there written to someone who he addresses as my immortal beloved. And it's a love letter. Apparently written, and as I remember, not delivered. So it's a bit aged, but obviously important enough that it was kept in the very middle and important part of his desk in kind of a semi-secret hiding place. Something that he wanted to remember. Yeah. The story that they take here, I don't think it's given away, it's fabulous. The costume, everything, absolutely. And all that. It's Beethoven, for God's sakes. And Gary Oldman playing is amazing. The guy's a genius. Gary Oldman plays the werewolf uncle of Harry Potter.
Yes,
that's Gary Oldman.
That is Gary Oldman.
Yeah. Sylvia's Black or something like that.
Yeah, Sirius Black.
Sirius Black. Yeah.
Sirius Black.
The star, Sirius. Yeah. Beethoven famously had. I can't think of his name right now, but with the secretary, the male secretary.
Oh, that's...
They did the conversation journals.
Is it Ferdinand? Oh, Schiller.
Not Schiller. Come on, I'll look it up. This is terrible. I can't think of it right now. I'm getting all these shit names. Like, it's not Schicknader.
That's Mozart.
Mozart's.
I almost thought it was like Czerny.
No. It's he was very famously his secretary for a while. He almost had a kind of a relationship with Beethoven, protective and being very close to him, like Friedland had with Liszt.
Yeah.
Anyway, this guy is famous because he was with Beethoven for the latter part of his life.
Yep.
This is kind of his secretary, helping
Confidant.
organize things and do things. And the conversation books that Beethoven needed to use, eventually he tried horns, trumpet, it's too much for him. So he just had conversation books and people write something down.
More about that later.
Something back to it. But I have a book. I'm going to get up and get it because it's a really cool book, and the guy as a writer is really important
Okay.
on a number of issues. He's not a professional musician, but that's why it's so cool. I'll be right back. His name is Maynard Solomon.
Oh, Maynard Solomon. Oh, I know this. He's one of my favorite.
Yeah. This is the book.
I know this book. I
And
have this book.
Here's the chapter. See that? I should go that way with it. See that? There's the book. I should go that way with it. I read this on the bus going back and forth from my home
Yes, I know.
in the wintertime in Madison when I got my master's degree.
Yes, I know this book.
He does some interesting arguing about who he thinks it could be, and there's some primary women.
Yeah.
But I can't find the guy's. Wish I could remember that guy's name. It's not Schiller. It's something. Anyway, he's the one that's credited with the story because this guy, and it's embarrassing to me that I can't think of his name. I should really know it. If you know your Beethoven crap, you know this guy's name. Beethoven had three brothers, right? 2 or 3 brothers.
Yes.
And one of the brothers died early-ish and left a son, Carl. And there's a famous part of Beethoven's life where he takes responsibility for the boy,
Yeah, Carl.
his nephew. Tries to train him and make him into a little version of himself like most men would do at that period of time.
Yeah.
Pretty argumentative stuff. He ends up going into the military, being a soldier, and eventually cuts his own life and everything. And ultimately, they're fine with each other. As Carl becomes a man and does his own thing. He's not cut out to be
Pianist.
He's not cut out to be his uncle by any stretch. Who would be?
Yeah.
But famously, Beethoven went to court to fight the mother, Carl's mother, for, what do you call it? When you
Custody.
Yes. Of Carl.
Yeah.
And there, we know something about that because those documents still exist. And we know what was said, what the fight was. Beethoven won because he was a man and because he was Beethoven. And he had super powerful friends. But the secretary fellow he was around when all this stuff happened.
Schopenhauer?
No, he had to deal with it.
Schweisheimer?
And
Schindler?
Anton Schindler.
Schindler.
That's it. Anton Schindler. Schindler. Thank you. That's it. I looked it up here. Look at the index, because he'd be there.
That's what I did.
It's pretty cool. I don't remember what Johanna.
Yeah.
Johanna. The mother's name, Carl's mother's name, Yeah, they fought in court over the boy. What was interesting is that Beethoven fought so hard for the nephew, his brother's son. It's a very interesting take, and that's what the film was about. And it's very emotionally, very moving and lovely thought. And this is what Schindler said was the case.
Yeah.
Beethoven had. Now Beethoven was a problematic man. When he was younger, he was quite a looker, quite a hero, probably got a lot of ladies. Not like Mozart, apparently. Mozart could bet him all the time.
Yeah.
He was a philanderer. Beethoven, less so, probably because of certain personal emotional things. He's a little bit self-aware in a way that was not, he didn't look on himself favorably. But when he was younger, he was quite a stud, and as a pianist, I mean, he blew Europe away. He was Elton John, but a straight one.
Oh yeah.
You know. But then, as he became older, and especially when he lost his hearing.
Yeah. Now, Carl Czerny says he was still able to hear through his ear trumpet clear till Opus 111. According to Carl Czerny.
Which is 1825.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Well, that's interesting, but I think probably it was bad. And of course, what Beethoven originally, when he wrote the Heiligenstadt Testament in 1803, which was a letter he wrote to his brothers, he was strongly considering suicide because he was a great concert pianist, well-respected composer by that time. Not yet where he became eventually. I mean, he's a god still to this day.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a god yet, but he was certainly very popular. But he just figured, what are people going to say when they find out I'm deaf? I mean, how can a musician be deaf?
Yeah.
Now, Bach went blind at the end of his life, but so what?
Yeah.
You know, you don't necessarily need your eyes to make music. If it's up here and in here.
Yeah.
You know, but deaf, come on.
Yeah.
And the guy went through great turmoil. That's part of what is amazing. And of course, because of his deafness, it's probably what opened his mind up to the musical creativity, the things that he did with harmony and how he expanded the whole vocabulary, where people said, you know, if he was still an active pianist and could hear, he probably wouldn't have crossed those lines that far, because he would have been commercially and personally satisfied more or less with what he could do and hear and so forth. But as he was not hearing the music, he could imagine what the music would be like. And I think in a different way, very different way, that's what this guy's done too.
Yeah.
He was conceiving of this stuff in a way that it didn't even really exist yet. You know, they had to train singers how to sing this music. Perfectly great opera singers from great traditions at the time had to be retrained to sing Wagner. And then initially, some of the musicians that he tried to get in the orchestra, they would just walk out and just say, this is crazy, this is insane, this is ridiculously difficult music, it's just not even worth it. So this guy was conceiving of stuff that wasn't heard, and I have to be honest, I mean, some of the late string quartets of Beethoven they require some real concentration to listen to. It's not like sit back and tap your foot kind of music. It's really intense stuff. Well, anyway, it's not giving this away because the movie is fabulous.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's also, I think, probably because some people like this. Oh no, our God, Beethoven could certainly not have done this. It couldn't have been this way. But it's very rational and it's very reasonable. Why would he have gotten in such an uproar about wanting to take responsibility for his brother's son? Take him on. To expend a lot of money on his education, raising him, trying to teach him, turning him into his own idea of what a great man would be. And he fought the mother over this about this. Really nasty. Well, Schindler says this is because Carl was Ludwig von Beethoven's son, because he had an affair with his brother's wife, Johanna. And ultimately, you know, as life goes on and things change and shift and everything, she was, of all these different women that Maynard Solomon points out, you know, very aristocratic ladies and very fancy ladies and all this and stuff. And Beethoven apparently had his heart on sleeve for a lot of different ladies, but the great love of his life was very possibly the mother of his own son.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, when they play this film, and as an old guy, when you think about what this man left us, this is his 200th anniversary in May of the creation of the Ninth Symphony. The Song of Joy. Bum, 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 bum. This is why I think people somehow they get it about Beethoven. He is one of those that's really connected with the concept of heroism. I mean, he completely went way beyond so many minds in creativity and human achievement and imagination. It was such terrible personal sacrifice and sadness, and I think the emotion of the film is Gary Oldman plays it so well.
Oh yeah.
He's just a human being.
Yeah.
You know, who wants love, wants happiness, would have loved to have had a beautiful home and stuff like that. But I mean, if he ever come out and said, Carl's my son, and she's the mother, and I'm the father, he would have survived. Because he was Beethoven.
Oh,
He wasn't even Ludwig van Beethoven, he was Beethoven. Everybody in the world knew who this guy was.
Yeah.
But the woman, it would have absolutely destroyed her. Plus, it would have had an effect on Carl's life as well.
Oh yeah.
He was simply so famous, nothing could bring him down.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been a scandal, but he actually protected. Don't they even show this in the film?
What?
Well, they suggest that some of the court stuff was an intentional dramatic things that he did on purpose in order to create the impression that he hated this woman.
Yeah.
And that she was incapable of really taking care of her own son.
Yeah.
But what they had worked out privately was, all I got to do is go to my wealthy friends and say, I need another 10,000 pounds a year, you know, and they'll give it to me. We can raise this boy well and, you know, really give him a life and give him a future and everything like that. I get another 5,000 pounds a year for you, you know. I can secretly make sure you got it. Because she lived okay.
Oh, yeah.
So women back in those days, if you weren't married and you were a widow, now her husband had been the pharmacist, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah.
So he had a little bit of money left over from things.
Yeah.
But she did fine. And I don't know if they cover that so much in here, but you kind of wonder, how did she do so fine?
Yeah.
Because Beethoven fought her like really nasty according to the court records, but he did leave her money.
He did.
He left that woman money after he died.
He did.
So anyway, this is, I haven't watched it for a while because this is one of those movies. It's like if I listen to Parsifal or get it, do the opera, or watching this movie, you gotta see it. If you haven't, it's a bucket list movie.
Yes.
But for me,
children,
it's
youngins.
It's hard to pull it out because I just cried like a baby at the end.
Yeah.
You know,
well, don't give it away.
There's good stuff.
It's excellent. Now, would you like to know the roster?
Sure.
Musicians. Oh, you guys are gonna die here.
Oh.
The roster, the musicians here. They got the London Symphony. Their conductor, Sir George Schulte.
You know, it's amazing. Back in those days, you only had to go to Europe, and you could hire the London orchestras to do your movie stuff.
Yeah.
Now they're too expensive. George Schulte, my God. Now it's too expensive.
Yeah.
So now we go to the Czech Republic or something like
Yeah.
that. Perfectly great musicians. Or Eastern Europe, you know.
Yeah, or the Lobania Symphony Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah, so, for example.
Yeah.
But back in those days, because this is what, the 70s or 80s?
1994.
94!
That's what. Well, this is when this was released. Did I say 19? Yeah, released in 1994.
So this is back when I was doing my doctorate.
Yeah.
Schulte was up there by then.
Yeah, he was up there. It might have been a past recording. Who knows?
Yeah, that's possible.
Okay, so for the soloists in the Symphony Number 9, they got Renee Fleming.
She just retired from the Met.
Yeah, Anne Murray, not the pop singer, but
No.
she's the alto.
Right.
Benson Cole as the tenor. I've never heard of it. But get this, the bass is Bryn Terfel.
Oh, wow. Well,
This was before he got into big time, I think.
Bryn Terfel, he was a great Wagner singer, too. Big, huge, big guy. Welsh boy.
Now, for the instrumentalists.
I did a master class for him.
You did?
Yeah, he was the teacher.
Bryn Terfel?
Bryn Terfel, yeah.
Wow. That's something. All right. We have violinist Pamela Frank.
I know her. Yeah, I don't personally know her, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah. She's German.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is the one, Pamela Frank. Now, the pianists. We have here a young Stephen Prutzman. Prutzman? Prutsman. He's okay. Stephen, he's still a fairly young guy. You know, I mean, especially in this movie, he was a very young guy. But he still has videos out there. For the last 8 to 10 years, he's gotten himself into not just classical music, but he does jazz and classic rock 70s arrangements.
Now, as I recall, don't they use forte piano in these?
I believe
music?
they do.
They don't use a modern piano. Isn't the recording, I think, with the forte piano?
With the recording? Well, here, you tell me. Murray Pariah does the concertos in this movie.
I don't think so. He would have played modern piano. Yeah.
Emmanuel Axe is the other.
Definitely not. Yeah, those are big piano guys.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're very big.
Wow, Pariah and Axe.
Yeah, Pariah and Axe.
Do you know which ones they do?
Emmanuel Axe does all the chamber work in this movie. Yeah. Murray Pariah does the concertos. Yeah. He does the Emperor.
Yeah.
But there's another concerto.
Because it's fourth, isn't it?
Yeah, it could be.
The second movement is the fourth.
Perhaps. Yeah. Now, strangely enough, they did do a trio on the thing, and I went through.
Can't tell which one it is.
I believe it was the Ghost Trio.
Ghost, first one, yeah. G major.
Yeah, and I went through those closing credits over and over again.
Let's say the string player.
And they don't tell you. They didn't mention who the cellist is.
Huh.
I am sad.
Pamela Frank is the violinist in the chamber music.
Pamela Frank was the because here's what
they do the violin concerto moment too.
I think they do.
Yeah,
I think they do. But it was weird because on the trio they had 3 names on there.
Yeah.
Okay, Pamela Frank, Emmanuel Axe, but they also had Stephen Prutzman, who's a pianist. I don't know if he plays cello or what, but I don't think so. There's no cellist because they're both pianists in this movie.
Wow.
So I'll be curious to find out if they ever. So there's another one of our mysteries. Who was the cellist?
Stephen or Stephen?
Stephen with a P. Stephen. Okay. Now, You gonna look them up real quick, or can I
Okay.
introduce the composer now?
Yeah, okay, so we're done with the movie thing, so we're moving on. But the composer thing doesn't have a special music thing, right?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, this ends the PSI at the movies segment. I'm about to present a composer, and perhaps a lot of you, most of you, will not know who this person is. He is no longer around. He died very young. He was born in 1960 and died in 1992. He was an AIDS victim. But I wanted to present him because I think his music is very special. I like his music. And his name is Kevin Oldham, or Oldham. Oldham or Oldham.
Is he British or American?
He's American.
Really?
Yeah. Take a look at Kevin Oldham. I brought in two works of his for piano. This is the Ballade in Opus 17. And this is the variations on a French Noel. He also has a piano concerto to his name, which Ian Hobson had premiered. Let me see. Both these scores have little bios on him. Kevin Oldham, composer and pianist, was born in 1960 to a family of singers in Kansas City. He's a Kansas boy. His bachelor and master degrees in piano are from the Juilliard School. He has written for piano, voice, choir, chamber ensembles, and organ. Besides this set of variations, his works also include 3 etudes for piano, an organ symphony number 1. He did piano transcriptions of selected J.S. Bach's works, various songs, and several church anthems. Not just a composer of classical pieces, Mr. Oldham has written and arranged for the musical theater, including a new musical which will be premiered in New York City in 1990. I'm assuming they've already done it. Now, as a pianist, he has appeared in recital at the Carnegie Recital Hall and the Merkin Concert Hall in New York City, the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., the Chicago Public Library, several other American cities in Yugoslavia. He was the first place winner in the NASCAR Young Artists Auditions and overall winner of the American Opera Society of Chicago Artists Auditions.
I'll be right back.
Sure. For 2 years, Kevin Oldham was a speaker and performer for the Kansas City young audiences, giving performances for children from kindergarten through 12th grade. His talents are not limited to playing the piano and composing. He is also a member of the Marble Collegiate Church Choir in New York City. There's more about him on this other score. Let's see, he says here, a Manhattan resident. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, this is important here. Okay, he says, for 2 years, Kevin was a speaker and performer for Kansas City young audiences, giving performances for children from kindergarten to 12th grade. As a pianist, he played recitals in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., as well as other cities in the U.S. Europe. He made his orchestral debut with the Detroit Symphony, performing Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody on the theme of Paganini. Boy, he's got chops. Manhattan resident, he sang with that Marble Collegiate Choir. He has published 3 choral works. One of them, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, which is Psalm 121. Hallelujah, praise the Lord, Psalm 150, and Out of the Depths, Psalm 130. Wow. That's a lot. So these works here are published and printed by the publisher Kios, K-J-O-S. Kios?
Or Kijos, I'm not
sure. Okay. I'm intrigued by his work. I only these are the only 2 works I have of his. I seem to recall years ago, perhaps it was in the 90s or the late 80s, I got to watch the end performance of his concerto. He was sitting there at the piano. I think he was performing at least, I think the slow movement, he actually has an arrangement of it for a solo piano. But I saw him on stage in this one video, and he really didn't look well.
Oh, you said he died from
AIDS.
complications.
Yeah. So, yeah, he was only 30, or barely 30. So
looks like nice writing in that ballad.
yeah, the ballad, Ballade, Opus 17. Like I said, it starts out simply enough. Some of the markings here. It starts off with a single melody, middle register. The marking says here, singing from afar, ... slowly. And it's pianissimo. It is has 2 measure phrases. Let's see. Then about the 4th, 5th measure, we go into triple piano, and it's an incantation in the upper register up here. Triple piano. It has a shorter value notes, so it's all in the 16th notes. Now, I tell you, this work is actually organized really well.
Yeah.
Look at this. I mean, the opening measures here, the first 4 measures, like I said, is a single note melody, and it's pretty much the germ cell for the whole entire work. The incantation, triple piano, up here at the upper register, comes in later, but it too sort of has this mystical, maybe otherworldly or other spiritual world quality to it. Now, through this whole time, he's got the pedal down all the way for this whole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 measures, and then for another 7 measures, he'll put the pedal down again, and it's pretty much the repetition of what the opening 7 measures are, except higher. So here it's almost, you can almost look at it as a, let's see, he starts out within the key center of the work, and then he shifts it up, how would you say, up a major 3rd. So it's basically transposed to another key, up a 2nd. It goes for a whole page, and then the piece proper actually starts here on the 2nd page. And the tempo marking, or at least the descriptive term here, he says, hushed. Now you have both hands here playing, at least it sort of sets up a different mood here at this point. Triple piano, and it has sort of this dark quality to it. Now, do you remember that on the previous page when I talked about how he moves up to the higher register and you have this 16th note incantation?
Yeah.
Well, on the 2nd page, it plays a much more important role. So we have that theme back again, except it's now in 8th notes and not 16th notes. It actually is captured as a more lyrical melody at this point, and it's in almost canonic here at this point. So it's both the voices are in the right hand, while the left hand does sort of a sweeping, well, not a sweeping, but slow arpeggio, and then maybe a little bit of counterpoint. They're almost like echoes of the actual theme that's being played canonically on the right hand. So all this is built up, and then down at the bottom of the page, final system, he presents the theme again. Is it the theme? Yep, it is. The opening theme, right here. It's almost as if it was transformed into a more Rachmaninoff-ish type texture. Now, this theme goes through several changes, or metamorphosis, if you want to call it. The third or fourth pages, it's transformed almost to sort of this grotesque cakewalk. It's what it's the first thing that pops into my head. Mm. It's the left hand, the lower bass here. It's in octaves. It has sort of this tritone, but not exactly a tritone. But it, well, yeah, it is a tritone. Mm-hmm. But he has this. I guess you want to call it a minor eighth on the first beat, and then perfect octave. See, it has an A natural and A flat. So I would say it's a minor eighth, and it goes down to a low D, and it just does this: a minor eighth, octave D, minor eighth, octave D, and then it has that incantation in the lower bass here. But like I said, it has the character almost grotesque cakewalk, and it goes on for a while, for about a third of a page, and then it changes again. Now this part, boy, I don't know what to call it, but the markings here is still piano, but now he describes this, how would you call it, digression. He says heavenly, but dark. So,
he's written up quite a bit here on the internet.
Oh yeah.
He's from Kansas City.
Yeah. So, anyways,
born in 1960s, would have been older than me.
Yeah, would have been.
But he only made it to 93.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It says he left his hospital bed to perform his own piano concerto with the Kansas City Symphony in January of 93, when he died in March. He didn't start to compose until he was in, he'd gone to Juilliard.
Yeah.
But it said he didn't start to compose until he said he was diagnosed with HIV.
HIV.
Positive.
Wow.
And that spurred him on to write some stuff, so he must have thought he might want to contribute something to the world before he left.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty considerable stuff.
Oh yeah. This is, folks,
have you read through it?
I have read through. I've read through both of them.
And
it's beautiful, Mark.
Yeah.
It really is. It has sort of a, now, he's not without his influences. His style writing and his use of harmony and his melodic tendencies to use things like, I don't know, it's intermixed with wide intervals, but there's also chromatic semitones that he likes to use. It gives it, it reminds me of Griffiths. Okay, Charles Griffiths, particularly the sonata. He has a lot in common with Griffiths.
Because I was seeing, it looks like it's not actually written bitonally, but it looks like he uses at least bitonality.
Yeah, at least that.
Like you have the tonic and the subdominant, or the tonic and the dominant harmonies against one another.
Yeah, like I said, there's I mean, you can detect like key centers. They're not major, they're not minor, practical, but you'll hear things like augmented harmony here and there. And look at this. I mean, this is almost Rachmaninoff or Lisztian here.
Yeah.
But then it ends quietly here.
You're talking about, I see the Griffiths references too.
Yeah, it's a beautiful work.
It's strange. It's significant for this period of time. I think some British composers too of it. But it was a kind of writing that had nothing to do with the atonal school.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do even exactly with Stravinsky. But it reminds me more of certain people writing. I remember some songwriters, some songs that we did from the late 19th, early 20th century, English composers. And these Americans like Griffiths.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's the reminiscence of tonality. Mm-hmm. Like it's there and it's working, but and there's something familiar enough about it that it can play on our genetic archetypal memories and things, and we can still get the music in a way.
Okay,
That's cool. I looked up this Prutzman guy, by the way. He's still alive. He did a year's special teaching at Stanford in California. Seems to be in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay.
Dude, look this guy up. Stephen Prutzman.
Okay.
He's not one of those little parts of the underbelly of that iceberg that's worth another really gifted, sensational person. One of the things it says he does completely unpianistic is he's, obviously I think he's kind of a geniusy kind of guy.
Yeah.
He serves on several boards in the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland, having to do with trying to help people who are, one might say, mentally handicapped or mentally challenged, and tries to help them do well in life and achieve their own ends and things like that.
Okay, the final work, Variations in the French Noel. This is an Opus 7, and it is dedicated to Lotsa Daniels Blim, B-L-I-M. I have no clue who she is, but it starts out practical enough. I mean, it's the French Noel. You know it, right? It's in the form of chorale theme. Now, this has a lot of influences. You tell me that doesn't remind you of Brahms.
Totally.
That's Brahms.
Is each one of them like that?
Not all of them. I mean, at some point, there's a segment in here, Variation 4. It kind of reminds me of Copland trying to imitate Piazzolla.
Huh.
I thought that was kind of, because it does. I mean, it has some of the, look at it. It's like, I mean, it has some kind of, it's sort of dance-like, but you almost sense, some kind of Latin American thing going on.
I can see the Brahms and the Brahms gypsy kind of stuff in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks, I know what you mean. It has this sparseness.
Yeah.
Almost two-part writing. Copland looking.
Look at the repeated notes. The repeated notes over here, the 16th notes where it's all.
Yeah.
Tell me, that doesn't remind you of the Totentans.
Yeah.
So. But this one, it was much more, I feel like this work is actually much more ambitious. I mean, technically, it's very super virtuosic. There's one or two performances of this on YouTube. One of them is actually as recent as 10, 12 years ago, I think. So it's out there.
Boy, have big hands.
I would assume so.
Oh, he's got some double writing here.
Yeah.
Got tenths.
Just so you know, we're running at 2:30.
I know.
2.5 hours.
I know. So. Anything else you got here?
This is it.
Big hands. There's an A going up to a B flat.
Yep.
Yeah, big hands. Those are ninths.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But look him up sometime. Kevin Oldham.
Oh, that's very imaginative stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's some Lister running off here.
Oh, yeah.
I was wondering if we get Ivesy, but it's not Ivesy.
No, it's definitely not Ivesy. Yeah. Well, folks.
You want to do it?
Can we just save for next time?
We could save it for next time, or we could do it. We've been at it for 2 hours and
2.5 hours.
2 hours and 25 minutes.
I have 2.5.
Really big timing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait till next time?
Can we?
And let's start with it. Probably.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
start with it.
Then maybe we might augment it with some other pedagogic stuff
Okay,
next time.
sure.
Okay, folks, we were gonna discuss principles in pianoforte playing of Joseph Hoffman.
Levine.
Joseph Levine, right? I have a feeling these probably were written for Etude magazine. You think?
He may have.
He writes these different chapters in a way
Yeah.
that it didn't all appear at once.
Yeah.
Etude magazine was a wonderful thing in the country. All the commercials and advertisements for the conservatories and schools.
Yeah.
Everything all over the eastern United States, middle West. I don't know if there's any California stuff in there, but the great part was the piano lessons. Things in there from Hoffman. Well, I don't know Hoffman so much, but Godofsky
Hoffman
did
was
a
in it.
bunch of it.
Hoffman was.
Hoffman's book, interestingly, was written for the Ladies' Home Journal. They were articles or things written to the
Okay, I
Ladies'
didn't
Home
know
Journal. In that case, but anyway, there's some good ideas. And Levine and his wife, at the same time as Rosalyn Turek, Olga Samaroff,
Olga Samaroff. Yeah.
were hired in 24 as they started the Juilliard School. We've gone on for about 2.5 hours. I think we probably should call it. But we can start the next time. Make sure you bring on Tom.
I will.
Because he refers to it in the book quite a bit. Give you a little more time to read the book if you want to do it. It's short, to the point. It's got some good ideas.
Yeah, I read it in a day.
Yeah, I've read it twice just to make sure, and I wrote some notes to myself. But it's not a tome. It's not a monstrous thing to get through. It's just some really good sense about some things, which is, I'm fortunate that as time went on, I learned from other teachers, or real people that he had suggested. But I bought this book at Walden's or Dalton's, I don't know which, at the Springfield Mall when I was just having started with Professor Wynn, more or less. Well, let's do that next week, and then we'll focus a little bit maybe next week on, maybe we'll find something besides this.
Okay.
Because we've threatened to do this for a long time.
Yeah.
At some point, we want to take on the Lechatitsky method.
Oh yeah.
And somehow
make
that palatable. But there are a number of other things that we could think about. If you and I got the same books over there, we could
look at it,
read them and see what we got. But why don't we start with that next week?
We'll start with this.
Promise you that.
Yeah.
Was today a good thing?
Oh, I think it was wonderful. I had a good time.
Yeah. And I really like the fact these two guys you brought up, Frutzman and Oldham. Oh, and the Canadian fellow too. These are all. I'm gonna put that picture up again, or a picture.
Yeah.
Of the iceberg.
Oh yeah, you should. That's a great analogy.
We're looking at most of the stuff under the water, which is part of that gargantuan tale of human activity and achievement, often miraculous things. But sadly, it's just the reality of things. It's not necessarily because people are always better. In some cases, they're beyond imagination. Just so Beethoven, for example. But then these people that we're talking about, like this Frutzman guy, he's having a great life. And the Gauden fellow, the Canadian guy, died in 87.
Yeah.
He had a great life and contributed a lot. And these people are part of that ongoing process of receiving training, contributing things to the world, passing some of their knowledge and accomplishments off to their students or people who have heard them and so forth. And unfortunately, only maybe a quarter or 1/3, depending on its size. The bigger it is, the less of it you can see above the water.
Yeah.
That iceberg. And ultimately, the part that ripped the shorts off of the Titanic, if it was the Titanic, was underwater.
Yeah.
Which means there's some oomph down there.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of human oomph, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
So I had a good time doing this.
Yes.
I thought I got on a roll and stuff. But
Yes. Remember Corey? Okay.
those people are eventually going to become our corporate sponsors.
Yeah,
sure.
hopefully. We'll see. Don't forget.
When you find out this guy makes it in his garage.
You would think of that. If you liked our content today, folks, please remember to push that thumbs up button, ring that notification bell, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your colleagues.
Yeah, at some point, I don't know what the numbers are. I have to look it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
When you get a certain number of followers,
Yeah.
they'll start to attach advertisements to your page.
Yeah.
And then, you get a portion of money from that stuff. So
Yeah.
we're going to spread the joy around. I mean, eventually we're going to have PSI hats.
Yeah, hopefully.
I like cooking, so I think we should also make PSI aprons.
Aprons?
Yeah.
Okay.
You like to cook, don't you?
From time to time.
You're cooking for your granddaughter.
Yes, I do. Cook for my granddaughter.
He's making a hell of a stir-fried rice for his granddaughters.
Yeah. It's nuts.
But I think that'd be cool. Baseball caps,
T-shirts.
T-shirts, and you always got to get into the size thing with T-shirts. Maybe. Bags. Carry bags. I think if you keep away a little bit of cups, if you keep away from the size thing, because then you have to have a certain inventory,
Yeah.
we can do shirts eventually. I think that's later on, retail investment.
Night shirts.
What?
Night shirts.
Oh, wow, that's what I was thinking. But I think initially, baseball caps
Baseball caps.
with the adjustable thing in the back.
Yeah.
And it's going to say Marc and Elmer PSI.
Well, I want to purchase us a PSI mobile
There you go.
with the logo on the side.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Actually, here in Ohio, they manufacture stuff like that. Well, it's not just mobile like a car. No. Let's get one of these guys that do these custom-made
RV limo
Winnebago type things.
or RV limo.
Maybe. No, I want the whole Winnebago thing.
Okay.
But there's a company here that does that.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, they could customize it inside. It's like a house on 4 wheels.
Let's say goodbye. I mean,
Okay.
we're running long here.
No, but we're dreaming.
We are.
Mostly this is about sharing what we love. Oh, I'm Marc.
This is Marc.
This is Elmer.
I'm Elmer. We are
PSI. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Pianos Investigations. Subscribe.
Should do your da-da-da-da thing.
Oh.
Yeah, then I fade out. I said, bye, everybody.